Chapter 459. Bang! As Wang Kai fell from the sky, the loud noise immediately attracted the attention of the guards in the tomb palace. Looking at Wang Kai, who had half of his body smashed into the ground, the corners of the guards' mouths twitched slightly. "Are you new here?" Of course. Which ghost cultivator would be stupid enough to step into the air in the ghost sovereign tomb? Why don't we capture him and make him our guard? The palace master should agree, and we can lighten some of the burden. Are you stupid? Carefully sense his aura. It's the heavenly ghost sovereign's aura. What could he be? He's the leader of the ghost feast organized by the heavenly ghost sovereign? The four guards discussed spiritedly in front of the tomb palace. From start to finish, Wang Kai heard every single word that was said. Half of Wang Kai's body was smashed into the ground. Hearing those words, he suddenly felt like he didn't want to come out. It was too embarrassing, too embarrassing. Crack! As Wang Kai stood up from the ground, he waved his hand and patted the ground. Then, he took out a folding fan and gently waved it. With a rather calm expression, he said with a smile, "It seems that my indestructible diamond body has not been completed yet. Otherwise, falling from such a high height would have caused me to smash tens of millions of meters into the ground. Sigh, it seems that I still have to practice more." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 8th grade Tao God realm. Swoosh. Hearing these words, the four guards were stunned. They looked at each other, and all of them felt extremely speechless. Obviously, he didn't know that he couldn't step into the air, so he carelessly fell down. However, he said that he deliberately fell down to cultivate his physique. I seem to have heard the four of you speaking ill of me? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly and looked at them with a playful expression. Behind the four guards was a large tomb palace. At the entrance of the palace was a huge tombstone, which was currently tightly shut. The four guards looked at each other when they heard this. If it were any other new ghost cultivator, they would naturally not let them off and would even teach them a lesson. However, the one before them just happened to be chosen by the Sky Ghost Sovereign. "Brother Ghost, you've misunderstood. We were talking about the new ghost cultivator a few days ago, not you." That's right, that's right, that's right. A few days ago, there was also a ghost cultivator who foolishly tried to step down from the sky. In the end, he fell bang, bang. Before the guard could finish his words, he was punched by the other guard beside him. "Bastard! Don't use the word also. Are you looking for trouble?" Only then did the guard react. Looking at Wang Kai's playful expression, he hurriedly wiped the cold sweat on his forehead and said with a trembling voice, "That's right, that's right. A few days ago, a ghost cultivator tried to step down from the sky and fell here. **CK you all. Do you think this sect master is chatting and joking with you? All of you kneel on the ground and beg for forgiveness. We were wrong." Wang Kai's expression suddenly turned cold, and his tone was rather unfriendly as he berated sternly. Swoosh. The moment these words were spoken, the expressions of the four guards immediately changed. Even if Wang Kai was a ghost cultivator chosen by the Sky Ghost Sovereign, it was really unbearable for him to be so arrogant when he had just arrived. "New ghost, it's true that you were chosen by the Sky Ghost Sovereign, but as a ghost, you must know how to be humble and polite." "That's right, we've already explained it just now. We weren't talking about you. As the saying goes, forgive ghosts where possible. Don't go too far. **CK me." Hearing this, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes slightly and walked up to them with his hands behind his back. He raised his arm and waved the folding fan. Tapping one of the guards on the shoulder, he asked with a playful smile, "What's your realm?" "5th grade Ghost Sovereign." The guard snorted proudly and looked at Wang Kai with a gaze that said, "You'd better not look for trouble." Naturally, he was hoping that he would back off in the face of difficulties. Oh, 5th grade Ghost Sovereign. What an awesome realm. You can use the power of your bloodline, right? Wang Kai's smile became more playful. However, the guard snorted and said, I didn't activate the power of my bloodline when I was alive. I can't use it after I'm dead. Can't use the power of my bloodline. Wang Kai suddenly grinned when he heard this. That inexplicable mischievous smile made the guards shiver uncontrollably. What about the 3 of you? What's your realm? Have you activated the power of your bloodline? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked with a smile. The 3 guards looked at each other and snorted in unison, We're the same. F*CKU, you haven't activated the power of your bloodline. What are you trying to show off for? 10 dragon subduing slaps. Suddenly, Wang Kai's smile disappeared and was replaced by a face full of dark anger. He raised his arm and slapped out several palm prints. Bang 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 bang. The green palm prints all caught the 4 guards off guard. Even if they reacted and wanted to block, they found that they couldn't shake Wang Kai at all. The strength of both sides were not in the same dimension. You're only an 8th grade Tao God. How can you use the power of your bloodline? Damn it! Bang! Bang bang! The 4 guards fell to the ground and stared at Wang Kai in disbelief. However, they were greeted with another round of slaps. Immediately, their bodies exploded and turned into 4 souls. Spare me! Brother Ghost, please spare me! If you hit us again, our souls will be destroyed. The 4 guards were scared out of their wits. Their souls turned into figures and knelt on the ground, begging for mercy. Clap clap. Seeing this, Wang Kai clapped his hands, took out the folding fan from his waist, opened it with a click, and said with a faint smile, Don't worry, this sect master's name of benevolence and righteousness has spread all over the world. This time, I came to Soul Break Valley because I died to save the world. Why would I kill you? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Hearing this, the corners of the guards' mouths twitched. Naturally, they didn't believe Wang Kai's nonsense. However, they could only pretend to believe it. It turns out that Brother Ghost was a good man when he was alive and is destined to be a good ghost when he dies. That's right, that's right. We are not as good as Brother Ghost. We didn't recognize Mount Tai. Please forgive us, Brother Ghost. Please forgive us, Master Kai. We were wrong. Wang Kai's eyebrows twitched slightly. He smiled calmly and said, Wouldn't it be better if you did this from the start? Is it worth it to avoid a beating? Tell me, you're all in the Ghost Venerable realm. Why did you become guards? When the 4 guards heard this, they shook their heads and sighed repeatedly. They looked at each other and all of them felt endless sorrow. Brother Ghost, you don't know. When we came here from the ghost graveyard, we thought we could get our own tomb palace. However, who would have thought that even in this borderland, one has to be at least in the holy venerable realm to be able to own a tomb palace. Sigh, in the ghost venerable realm we can only be servants and guards in the ghost venerable graveyard. If we knew this would happen, we would have been free in the ghost graveyard. Not only did we not get our own tomb palace, but we also became servants and guards. If our peers in the ghost graveyard knew about this, they would definitely laugh their heads off. Chapter 460. Back then? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at them strangely. He smiled and said, How long have you guys been in the Ghost Venerable Graveyard? Why are you still at the 5th level of the Ghost Venerable Realm? Whoosh. The moment he finished speaking, Wang Kai thought that the 4 guards, who should have been red in the face, didn't show any signs of shame. Instead, they looked at him with strange gazes. We've been in the Ghost Venerable Graveyard for 25 years. 25 years! F*CK. Wang Kai's mouth twitched and he patted their shoulders sympathetically. He shook his head and sighed, Let nature take its course. It's not your fault that your talent is too weak. Brother Ghost, Don't you know that for a cultivator of the venerable realm to break through, they need to comprehend the way of heaven to strengthen their own Tao? The four of us can reach the 5th level of the ghost venerable realm in 25 years. It's considered an average cultivation speed in the ghost venerable graveyard. That's right. Let me tell you a secret. I heard that our palace master, the Holy Venerable, took more than 300 years to cultivate to the 9th level of the ghost venerable realm. It took him another 500 years to reach the Holy Venerable realm. Give us a few more 100 years and we'll definitely be able to reach the Holy Venerable realm and have our own tomb palace. Listening to the whispers of the four guards, Wang Kai couldn't help but be startled. To cultivate in the venerable realm and break through, one needed to comprehend the way of heaven to strengthen and perfect their own Tao. One did not need to rely on absorbing the spiritual primordial energy of heaven and earth, such as the death chi, to break through. One needed to comprehend. The time needed to break through would also increase by countless times. Thinking of this, Wang Kai's expression became more and more strange. Others needed to comprehend the way of heaven, but he only needed to brag. Didn't this mean that he would be envied to death? Sometimes people really can't be compared to people, and ghosts can't be compared to ghosts. Just like this sect master, when I was born, there was a 5-colored auspicious cloud. So far, I have only cultivated for less than a year, and I am already a Tao god. Sigh, I am so powerful that even I am jealous of myself. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging and reaching the 9th stage of the Tao God realm. Host: Wang Kai. Occupation: martial artist, talisman cultivator, array cultivator. Secondary occupation: alchemist realm. 9th grade Tao God. Tao techniques: way of bragging, pill codex, spirit codex. Magical powers: luck deprivation technique, soul manipulation technique, heaven sealing technique, yellow springs sand sea technique, great summoning technique. Equipment: Tong Tian Tower, 9 dragons cauldron, god punishing brush, 10,000 formation restriction map, ever-changing fan, frost flying. Sword bloodline, level 10 physique, 9-5 supreme physique protector. Spirit beasts: Lan Qianqiu, sky venerable realm, Luo Ning, earth venerable realm. Bragging points: 2130 experience, 300,000,300,000. My experience points have increased by another 100,000. Wang Kai casually glanced at it, then urged his mind to close it. Regarding the increase of 100,000 experience points, he only needed to brag a little more. There was no need to care about it. Look, this sect master is so awesome. I've just spoken and I've already broken through another level. Alas, being too mighty and awesome is also a sad thing. Don't compare yourself with this sect master. In the universe, there are very few experts who can stand shoulder to shoulder with this sect master. It's better to say that there isn't anyone at all. Wang Kai shrugged and patted the guards on their shoulders. He shook his head and left. At the same time, he didn't forget to show off his aura. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 1,000,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Looking at Wang Kai's back and his aura, the 4 guards looked at each other and were stunned. They knew that he had indeed reached the 9th stage from the 8th stage. This ghost is so good at bragging. That's right. He's so good at bragging. Damn it. If we came to the ghost venerable graveyard as ghost gods, we might have broken through faster than him. That's right, what's there to brag about? However, these words were not heard by Wang Kai. Otherwise, he would not be able to avoid another round of beating. As Wang Kai walked leisurely among the palace tombs, many ghost cultivators hurriedly looked away when they saw him. They didn't want to provoke the ghost cultivators that the heavenly ghost sovereign had taken a fancy to. Wang Kai felt bored. But if they didn't offend him, he couldn't offend them, right? Moreover, they were all ghosts. He had no choice but to speed up and go straight to the heavenly ghost palace. However, as Wang Kai went deeper, his heart was in his mouth. The aura in the palace tombs gradually rose from the level of holy venerables to a higher level. It was so high that Wang Kai couldn't see it. The deeper he went, the more unfathomable it was. The death chi also became thicker and more sinister. When he reached the heavenly ghost palace tombs, the powerful aura made Wang Kai's nerves tense. Even if he wanted to relax, his body wouldn't listen to him, and he couldn't help but be in a state of alert. What an awesome heavenly ghost palace tombs! In other places there are ghost venerables as guards, but here there are holy venerables as guards. Wang Kai looked at the 8 guards standing in front of the huge palace tombs, and couldn't help smacking his lips in admiration. When the 8 guards heard this, they only glanced at Wang Kai indifferently. Then, one of the guards walked out and said, "Come with me." When Wang Kai saw this, he raised his eyebrows and looked at Xiao Chen with a strange expression. Then, he smiled playfully and said, "You are already holy venerates. Why did you not make a palace grave? Why did you choose to be guards here? Are you trying to show off or are you stupid?" Swoosh! The eyes of the 8 guards immediately turned cold. They didn't expect the ghost cultivator chosen by the heavenly ghost sovereign to be so arrogant and bold. "Humph, what do you know, little ghost cultivator? Don't think that we are just guards. If we go out, the palace masters of any cultivation level will have to give us some face." Why are you telling him this? He is just a little ghost who just came from the ghost tomb forest. He knows too little. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes as he listened to their conversation. He habitually held his fan and tapped the shoulder of one of the guards. He said mockingly, "Are you saying that this sect master is inexperienced?" "Humph." The 8 guards snorted coldly and didn't reply. Good, good, good. Since you are so awesome, it seems that this sect master needs to teach you. In this 8 wastelands. Oh no, in this world, in this universe, this sect master's power is so strong that I can shatter a world with a stomp of my feet. Wang Kai smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Come with me. The heavenly ghost sovereign has been waiting for you for a long time, the guard said disdainfully. The other 7 guards also had mocking smiles on their faces. How strong could a little ghost who just came from the ghost tomb forest be? Not to mention the depths of the ghost sovereign cemetery, it would be difficult for him to survive even at the edge. If he wasn't chosen by the heavenly ghost sovereign, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens for him to come here. When this sect master is bragging, you all have to listen carefully. When this sect master is bragging, you all have to stand up honestly. Since you all didn't listen carefully and didn't stand up honestly, then this sect master can only display a power that can destroy heaven and earth to let you all know how big of a sin it is to offend this sect master. Wang Kai snorted coldly with an unfriendly look in his eyes. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the first-grade human sovereign realm. Chapter 461. Brother Ghost, you're done boasting. Can we enter the tomb palace now? The guard said flatly as a look of disdain flashed across his eyes. The other 7 guards did the same. They did not take Wang Kai's words to heart. How powerful could a brat who had just arrived at the ghost sovereign graveyard be? If I don't give you a blow, you won't know how high the sky is. I'm higher than the sky. Wang Kai squinted his eyes, which were filled with hostility. He immediately clenched his fist and punched out. Congratulations to the host for boasting successfully. You've received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Buzz. Bang. Suddenly, the guard did not fight back at all. Instead, A dense barrier of death chi appeared on the surface of his body, directly blocking Wang Kai's punch. Rank 1 Ghost Sovereign Realm and Bloodline Power. Do you think we're ordinary guards? The guard sneered disdainfully. The other guards were even more disdainful. Even though Wang Kai was a rank 1 Ghost Sovereign and had bloodline power, he could deal with a rank 1 Holy Sovereign. However, the 8 guards present were all peak 9th level Holy Exalt. They could also use their bloodline power. Seeing this, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed. He could not help but think to himself that the tomb palace of the Sky Ghost was indeed unfathomable. Even the guards were all rank 9 Holy Sovereigns, and could use bloodline power. Who am I? The Fire Rod. Wang Kai chuckled as he activated his thoughts. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Who am I? The Fire Rod. 200 bragging points have been consumed. Patter. As an incomparably black stick with traces of burning appeared in Wang Kai's hand, the 8 guards were all stunned. Soon after, they could no longer hold it in and laughed out loud on the spot. Ha ha ha, the Fire Rod. It's the Fire Rod. No, this ghost is too interesting. Is he going to fight us with the Fire Rod? Ha ha. Hearing their loud mockery, Wang Kai's expression immediately became playful. Previously, the system had reminded him that the power of many treasures was linked to his own realm. Furthermore, the 200 bragging points he had just spent had increased by 100 points. With Xiao Chen's cultivation as a human venerate, it should be easy for him to deal with a holy venerate palace guard with a stick. Thinking of this, Wang Kai immediately swung the fire stick and smashed it directly on the head of the guard who was laughing non-stop. Bang! Plop! In an instant, the guard was smashed to the ground. His eyes rolled back and he fainted. The laughter of the other 7 guards also stopped abruptly. They looked at the unconscious guard on the ground in astonishment. Could it be that he's intentionally fooling us? That must be it. Ha ha ha, interesting. Come, hit me too. Count me in. I want to play too. Ha ha. Immediately, the 7 guards all thought that the guard who had fainted was joking. They all rushed to stand in front of Wang Kai. When Wang Kai saw this, his face immediately darkened. If it was a ghost and a stick, 7 ghost cultivator guards would need at least 1,400 bragging points. A stick for each of you, right? Good. I hope that after you see his behavior, you can still take a hit from the stick. Grandson, get up. I am your grandfather. Bang. As soon as Wang Kai finished speaking, he lifted his leg and kicked the guard until he woke up. You are the guard of the Holy Venerate Palace Guard. You are also my grandson. As Wang Kai instilled the memory into the guard, he was dazed for a while. Then, he immediately knelt on the ground and respectfully and affectionately called out, Grandfather. Whoosh! Such a scene immediately caused the 7 guards to be extremely astonished. They looked at each other and went forward to push the guard. Hey, are you stupid? It's just a stick. Can't you take it? Stop fooling around. You've gone too far. However, no matter how they tried to persuade him, the guard still looked at them coldly and scolded sternly, Get out of my way! Are you trying to separate me and my grandfather again? The 7 guards were speechless. When they looked at Wang Kai again, they were so scared that their faces were pale and they kept retreating. They were definitely not playing with Wang Kai. They had really been beaten silly by a stick. Who was the one who said that he wanted to take a hit? Come, stand up. I will fulfill your wish. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and waved his fan. He had a mocking expression on his face. Grandfather, don't worry. With your grandson here, no one can hurt you. The guard stepped forward and stared at the 7 guards coldly. His killing intent was obvious. Whoosh! Such a scene and such words caused the 7 guards to tremble. They kept retreating with pale faces and swallowed their saliva. They were scared out of their wits. Why should we be afraid of him? Even if his stick has a unique ability, as long as we are not hit, we will be unharmed. That's right. Let's capture him and bring him to the palace. Do it. Whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, the death chi of the 7 guards swept out. The terrifying and eerie pressure caused Wang Kai to taste something sweet in his throat. He almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Fortunately, there was a guard in front of him. Otherwise, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. Rubbing mirror without looking at the card. Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining rubbing mirror without looking at the card. 200 bragging points have been consumed. Whoosh. The 7 guards who had rushed over had just repelled the guard protecting Wang Kai when a blinding light flashed. They were so scared that they closed their eyes and quickly retreated. It's actually sunlight. I want to rub mirror. Bastard, what happened? I want to rub mirror. Damn it. What's going on? I want to rub mirror. Immediately after, the 7 guards hugged each other in pairs and rubbed against each other with all their might. The one who was free even targeted the guard who was protecting Wang Kai. Grandpa, save me. This is too disgusting. Oh no. I want to rub mirror. Bastard. I want to rub mirror. Seeing the 8 guards rubbing against each other, and the guard who was hit by the fire stick looking at him with an expectant gaze, the corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched slightly. He waved his hand and said, "Grandson, Grandpa can't do anything." Whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai put one hand behind his back and fanned himself with the other hand. He looked rather carefree as he walked toward the entrance of the palace tomb. At the same time, in the palace tomb, a skinny old man in a gray robe with a wrinkled face was staring at a mirror in front of him in amazement. Beside him, there was a beautiful woman in a black dress with a light veil around her arms. Her beautiful eyes were wide open as she looked at the mirror in amazement. The scene in the huge mirror was the scene of the 8 guards rubbing against each other outside the palace tomb. "Ryu, what do you think of this little devil?" the skinny old man asked calmly. Chapter 462. Hearing this, the woman in black blinked her beautiful eyes in a strange manner. Looking at the scene reflected in the mirror, she couldn't help but gently shake her head. Covering her face, she laughed and said, "Ryu doesn't know, but it's quite interesting. With his character, it's fine if he doesn't die, but if you give him the task, I'm afraid it will be difficult for him to survive." Difficult to survive? The corner of Supreme Heavenly Ghost's mouth twitched slightly, but he didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. Nodding, he said, "It's indeed not good to stir up trouble. You should leave for the time being." The woman in black bowed, lowered her head slightly, and left the front palace with light steps. If he can still summon that demon monkey cultivator, it may be able to save his life. It just so happens to make up for his troublesome character. Hearing the woman in black's words, Supreme Heavenly Ghost gently nodded. Without saying anything, he flipped his hand and a crack appeared in the void in front of him. At the same time, Wang Kai, who was just about to step into the tomb palace, was caught by a pressure before he could react. His body fell into the crack that suddenly appeared. "Who is this evil ghost? How dare you sneak attack this sect master? Don't you know that this sect master is the Lord of the 8 Wastelands, the sovereign of the universe? Is it you, old man?" Wang Kai's expression suddenly froze. Looking at the skinny old man in front of him, he couldn't help but slightly narrow his eyes. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. In a large palace, besides a long screen, there was only a huge black coffin. At this moment, a skinny old man in gray robes was sitting on top of the coffin. The Lord of the 8 Wastelands, the Sovereign of the Universe. Haha, not bad, not bad. Are you willing to take this sect master as your master? Supreme Heavenly Ghost said with a faint smile. His eyes were as calm as an ancient well, making it impossible to tell whether he was happy or angry. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. Sizing him up with a scrutinizing gaze, He shrugged and said with disdain, "Be this sect master's master? In this world, no, in the entire universe, and even outside the universe, no one has the qualifications. You are barely qualified to be this sect master's disciple. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to second stage human sovereign realm." Sovereign Sky Ghost didn't say anything else. He just stared at Wang Kai expressionlessly without saying a word. In this regard, Wang Kai naturally couldn't be afraid of him. He immediately sat cross-legged in the air and looked at him with a scrutinizing gaze. He said quite proudly, "Want to compete with me? Can you endure not talking? I'm not afraid to tell you that I haven't opened my mouth for hundreds of millions of years." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. A smile flashed across Sovereign Heavenly Ghost's eyes when he heard this. Finally, he opened his mouth and said, "I was just wondering where you got the guts to act like this in front of me. Aren't you afraid of death?" Buzz. Suddenly, a terrifying pressure engulfed the entire palace. Wang Kai's bones creaked under the pressure. His body, which was suspended in the air, was directly pressed to the ground and broke out in cold sweat. A sovereign? Is this the pressure of a sovereign realm expert? It's impossible to resist. Whoosh! The pressure suddenly dissipated, and Supreme Heavenly Ghost looked at Wang Kai with a strange look in his eyes. He asked in puzzlement, "Are you really not afraid of death?" Patter! Wang Kai raised his hand and wiped the sweat from his forehead. He flipped open his folding fan and waved it gently. He smiled indifferently and said, "Old man, you don't have to act tough in front of this sect master. If you think you have the ability, you can come and try. This sect master only needs to move his mouth, and I can kill you." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Host: Wang Kai. Occupation: Martial Artist, Talisman Cultivator, Array Cultivator. Auxiliary Occupation: Alchemist Realm. Second Stage Human Sovereign. Taoist Arts: The Art of Bragging, Elixir Codex, Spiritual Codex. Magic Powers: Luck Deprivation Technique, Soul Manipulation Technique, Heaven Sealing Technique, Underworld Sand Sea Technique, Great Summoning Technique. Equipment: Tower of Babel, Nine Dragon Cauldron, God Punishing Brush, Myriad Formation Seal Diagram, Ever-Changing Fan, Icy Flying. Sword Bloodline. Level 10 Physique. 9-5 Sovereign Physique Protector Beasts. Lan Qianqiu, Heavenly Sovereign Realm, Luo Ning, Earthly Sovereign Realm. Bragging Points: 2430 Experience. 23000300000. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai activated the system. After looking at the number of bragging points he had, he secretly gritted his teeth and said, "I still need 6 bragging points to summon Monkey King again. If a battle really breaks out, I'll have to take the risk and summon him." "Hee, the technique you used to kill black impermanence was the Great Summoning Technique? May I know which region the demonic Monkey King is from?" Sovereign Sky Ghost asked with a smile. "Do you recognize the Great Summoning Technique?" Upon hearing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. "Even if I tell you, you won't know. Moreover, it's impossible to summon Monkey King with just the Great Summoning Technique." He shrugged his shoulders and said with an indifferent smile, "The demonic Monkey King that I summoned was not a demonic Monkey King from the 8 regions. He came from a very powerful place. Yes, that place was created by me." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 3rd stage Human Sovereign Realm. Sovereign Sky Ghost shook his head gently. Seeing that Wang Kai was unwilling to say, he did not pursue the matter further. Instead, he said indifferently, Since you've become the champion of the Ghost Eater Convention, come to the Tomb Palace of Sky Ghost, and met me, accept the task that I've given you. Vow to complete it. Whoosh. As soon as he said this, Wang Kai curled his lips and sneered with disdain. You're ordering me to do something for you? You may not know this, but the person who can order me around has not been born yet. Those who dare to order me around have been dead for thousands of years. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. The task is very simple. Go to the Celestial Emperor's Supreme City in the Central Wasteland and join the Heaven Exterminating Troop. If you encounter any danger or need help, you can go to the Azure Moon Tower in the city and look for the owner. As for the purpose of joining the Heaven Exterminating Troop, I'll send a ghost messenger to inform you after you've successfully infiltrated the troop, Supreme Sky Ghost said indifferently. He chose to ignore Wang Kai's words. His tone was indisputable and did not allow for any disobedience. It was as if he had given an order that must be carried out. This situation caused Wang Kai to frown. He had seen the arrogance and condescension of a person in a high position. He immediately snorted and said, "I'm sorry, the general of the Heaven Exterminating Army is my disciple 10,000 years ago. I can't help you with this." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Upon hearing the notification, Wang Kai continued without waiting for Heavenly Ghost Supreme to speak. Also, the name Jade Moon House sounds like a brothel. How can a virtuous and upright youth like this sect master go to such a filthy place? I can't help you with this. So, you can shut your mouth and stop talking nonsense. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 4th grade human sovereign realm. Chapter 463. There are countless beautiful women in the Azure Moon Tower, and the Tower Master is the head of the 3 great beauties of the Central Wilderness, Supreme Heavenly Ghost said indifferently. Using a honey trap? The head of the 3 great beauties of the Central Wilderness? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. He never thought that the dignified Supreme Heavenly Ghost would use a honey trap to tempt him. If the honey trap doesn't work, is he going to use force? I'm still short of 2 badasses. When the time comes, who cares if you're Supreme Heavenly Ghost, Monkey Son will beat you into a Heavenly Ghost Little Sunday. Thinking of this, Wang Kai's expression turned solemn. He sat down cross-legged and gently shook his head with a smile. Beauty is just a stinky skin. If the heart is beautiful, no matter how ugly the face is, it will still be able to gain my favor. If the heart is not good, no matter how beautiful the person is, it will be counterproductive. I value the relationship between men and women the most and have never been a womanizer, so don't waste your time. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Hearing this, Supreme Heavenly Ghost remained expressionless. No one could tell if he was happy, angry, or sad. If you join the Heavenly Extermination Army, you will be qualified to enter the reincarnation realm controlled by the Heavenly Court to cultivate after 3 months. 1 year inside is 1 day outside. Reincarnation realm? 1 year inside is 1 day outside? Is he trying to tempt me with a way to quickly raise my realm? Wang Kai snorted with a disdainful expression. He secretly thought that he could break through by bragging. He didn't need that kind of cultivation place at all. Haha, Brother Supreme Heavenly Ghost, you probably don't know, right? This sect master's talent is too awesome. It has already surpassed the limits of all the cultivators in the 8 desolate lands. Even if I don't cultivate, I can quickly break through to the next realm by sleeping all day. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Host: Wang Kai. Occupation: martial artist, talisman cultivator, array cultivator. Auxiliary occupation: alchemist. Realm: 4th grade. Human sovereign cultivation techniques: the way of bragging, pill codex, spirit codex. Magical powers: luck deprivation technique, soul manipulation technique, heaven sealing technique, yellow springs sand sea technique, great summoning technique. Equipment: Tong Tian Tower, 9 dragons cauldron, god punishing brush, 10,000 formation restriction map, ever changing. Fan, frost flying sword. Bloodline, level 10 physique, 9-5 supreme physique. Protector spirit beasts: Lan Qianshou, sky venerable realm, Luo Ning, earth venerable realm. Bragging points: 30-30 experience, 230000300000. It had reached 3,000. Wang Kai hurriedly glanced at it. Seeing that he had enough bragging points, he closed it with a thought. When he looked back at the heavenly ghost sovereign, a faint smile appeared on his face as he said, "However, we can still negotiate." Whoosh! Supreme Heavenly Ghost frowned when he heard this. Just now, he had used all sorts of methods to get him to agree, but he still couldn't get him to agree. Now, he was saying that he could negotiate? He couldn't help but be curious. What exactly did Wang Kai want? Thinking of this, Supreme Heavenly Ghost smiled faintly and said, "Speak, what is your request?" He is the leader of the 3 great beauties of the central wilderness very beautiful? Wang Kai asked with a lewd smile as he narrowed his eyes. Whoosh! Hearing this, Supreme Heavenly Ghost's eyes widened as he looked at Wang Kai in astonishment. He couldn't imagine why Wang Kai, who didn't seem interested in beauties just a moment ago, would take the initiative to bring it up now. What kind of weirdo was this kid? Little did he know that Wang Kai believed that now that he had a guarantee of safety, he naturally had to negotiate. Since he was going to the central wilderness anyway, it would be best if he could get some benefits. However, if he didn't have a guarantee and mindlessly asked for benefits, he would most likely be killed by Supreme Heavenly Ghost in the end. Cough, cough. She's very beautiful. She's the best in the central wilderness and the only one in the 8 wilderness. Various peak forces, from the sect master to the disciples, are all scrambling for her, Supreme Heavenly Ghost said, unable to keep up with his thoughts. She's the best in the central wilderness and the only one in the 8 wilderness? Wang Kai's smile grew even wider when he heard this. He rubbed his chin and said with a playful smile, "Can I do it? Oh, I mean enter the bridal chamber." Patter! Before Heavenly Ghost Sovereign could reply, a sound was emitted from the screen. Wang Kai's brows immediately twitched as he swept a glance at the screen, feeling extremely puzzled. If not for Supreme Heavenly Ghost's presence, Wang Kai would have definitely rushed over to take a look. Supreme Heavenly Ghost waved his hand and said with a face full of smiles, "Don't worry about it. As for what you just asked, no one in the central wilderness or even the 8 wilderness has been able to obtain the body of the Azure Moon House Master. However, if you can satisfy me, there is still a great chance." Just a chance? Fuck! How could the great Supreme Heavenly Ghost say such perfunctory words? I still have to complete the mission first. Is he trying to give me a goal to motivate me to complete the mission better? Wang Kai curled his lips in disdain. As long as the Azure Moon House is a spy planted by the Heavenly Ghost Tomb Palace, then I can naturally get some benefits by carrying the title of helping Supreme Heavenly Ghost complete the mission. No one in the 8 wilderness has been able to obtain the Azure Moon House Master. Brother Supreme Heavenly Ghost, I forgot to tell you that I'm not a human, but a ghost. Moreover, I'm a perverted evil ghost who specializes in picking beauties that others can't obtain. Not to mention a beauty like her, even the 3 great beauties of the central wilderness will offer themselves to me with just a flick of my finger," Wang Kai said with an indifferent smile. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 5th grade human sovereign realm. Bang! Suddenly, another sound rang out from behind the screen. This time, it was louder than the first time. This situation immediately caused Wang Kai's face to darken. He immediately stood up and walked towards the screen, only to find that there was no one behind it. Don't worry about it. The wind might have disturbed the screen, Supreme Heavenly Ghost said with a faint smile. Wang Kai's expression became even more disdainful when he heard this. He said with disdain, "The wind disturbed the screen? Brother Supreme Heavenly Ghost, don't use your worthless literary talent to talk nonsense with me. How can the wind enter the tomb palace? Do you think it's because of your teeth? Teeth? Wind leaking?" Supreme Heavenly Ghost's gaze suddenly darkened as anger flashed through his eyes. He had never thought that this kid would be so despicable. He took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "What other requests do you have? Is he angry?" Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly when he saw this. He walked back without a care and said with a faint smile, "Give me the divine stones used in the central wilderness. Kid, supreme stones are the most precious. Below them are Tao stones, and after that are divine stones." Inside the sky-reaching tower, Lord Cat reminded while stroking his long whiskers. Hearing this, Wang Kai smacked his lips and rubbed his chin. He pretended to be thinking and said, "Give me some supreme stones. The more the better. Yes, you should also give me some alchemy materials. Supreme grade ones will do. Also, give me some Tao arts and divine abilities. Yes, and supreme artifacts." As Wang Kai continued to speak, Supreme Heavenly Ghost's face had already turned purple. It was as if he had come back to life from anger. Chapter 464. I've already prepared everything you've said, but I can only give you 10,000 supreme stones, a supreme artifact, and a divine ability. It's enough for you to use in the central wilderness. As for the materials for refining pills, I don't have them, Supreme Heavenly Ghost said indifferently. Whoosh! As soon as he said that, Wang Kai's eyes widened. He stood up and said with a stunned expression, "Damn, old man, you're quite good at bargaining, aren't you? Don't you know that you'll be hunted down by the old men and women in the market if you bargain like this?" The moment he opened his mouth, he reduced the amount to 1. Wang Kai had never heard of such a bargaining method. Of course, if it were Wang Kai, he would probably be even more ruthless. He wouldn't give a single one and would instead take some. The supreme treasure that I have given you is no ordinary item. It's enough for you to deal with strong enemies. Furthermore, the mystic skills and Tao skills are also top-notch. There's also the supreme stone. In the vast 8 desolates, there are a total of 10 supreme powers. Only the direct descendants of the supreme powers can use the supreme stone. Do you know what 10,000 supreme stones mean? Supreme Heavenly Ghost said indifferently. In the entire 8 wilderness, there were only 10 supreme forces. In other words, there were only 10 utmost exalted experts in the 8 desolate. Wang Kai frowned when he heard that. He couldn't help but secretly ask, "Big stupid cat, is 10,000 supreme stones a lot?" It's the same amount as the direct descendants of the supreme forces can use. If you take it out, you'll be treated with supreme hospitality no matter where you go, Lord Cat said as he stroked his long beard. A supreme level of hospitality, a symbol of one's status? Not bad. Although the benefits were extremely small, Wang Kai didn't want to go too far. If he really angered Supreme Heavenly Ghost, he would have to spend 3,000 bragging points to deal with him. Even if Supreme Heavenly Ghost was killed in the end, there was still the King of Hell in the Soul Break Valley and the powerful ghost cultivators in the Ghost Sovereign Cemetery blocking the way. As long as he left the Soul Break Valley and reached the central wilderness, it didn't matter whether he completed the mission or not. Moreover, he might be able to fish for more benefit. In Soul Break Valley, Heavenly Ghost Supreme had the final say, but outside, thinking of this, Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders casually and smiled faintly. You don't have to give me your supernatural powers, nor do you have to take out your treasures. Let's exchange them all for supreme stones of equal value. You're brave enough. You'd rather have wealth than your life. Forget it. Since you have the guts, I'll exchange it for supreme stones of the same value and add another 10,000. Supreme Heavenly Ghost squinted his eyes and smiled. With a flip of his hand, he condensed a world in his palm. Looking at the transparent sphere, it contained a stone that flickered with black light. It was square in shape and was the size of a palm. How much is this? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and asked. Supreme Heavenly Ghost raised his arm and gently pushed it forward, causing the world in his palm to hover in front of Wang Kai. Then, he said, just use your mind to examine it. Hearing this, Wang Kai was a little surprised. He concentrated his mind and scanned the black supreme stones. When he found out the number, his face immediately darkened. F*CKU. You said it so nicely just now, but in the end, after deducting the 10,000 that you should have given me, there are only 30,000 supreme stones left? Wang Kai cursed, gnashing his teeth. There was a total of 40,000 supreme venerable stones inside. In Wang Kai's opinion, for Supreme Heavenly Ghost to speak such impassioned words, there should be at least 1,000,000 supreme venerable stones. In the end, it was only 30,000 supreme stones more than the original 10,000. Suddenly, a bell-like but extremely seductive laughter rang out. The voice came from behind the screen. There's really someone. And it's a woman. Wang Kai's face darkened. His figure flashed and immediately appeared behind the screen, but he still couldn't find anyone. Stop fooling around. 40,000 supreme stones is already a lot. Even the young master of a sovereign force can only use 30,000 supreme stones. Supreme Heavenly Ghost said in a deep voice. There was uncontrollable anger in his tone. It could be said that his heart was about to explode. He had never met a brat like Wang Kai before. He was really difficult to deal with and also very hateful. Hiding a mistress in a golden house, Supreme Heavenly Ghost. You look old, but I didn't expect your body to be so strong. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a playful smile. Crack. Supreme Heavenly Ghost's eyes darkened and his face turned cold. He waved his hand and tore open the void. In order to prevent the Heavenly Emperor of the Central Wasteland from noticing, I can only send you to the edge of the Heavenly Emperor domain. When you reach the Heavenly Emperor's Supreme City, go find the Azure Moon House Master. She will tell you what to do and what not to do. 1. F*CK. Before Wang Kai could react, his body was invaded by an irresistible pressure. He was directly pulled into the crack in the void and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After the spatial crack closed, a crack appeared behind the screen. A graceful, exquisite, and enchanting lady in a black dress walked out from within it with gentle steps. Master, are you letting him go just like that? Why don't you tell him about the soul core? That way, he will be obedient, the woman in a black dress asked with a smile. Wang Kai's actions just now were really interesting. Wang Kai was the only one in the entire 8 wastelands who could anger Supreme Heavenly Ghost to such an extent and come out unscathed. If he didn't listen to the order to find you in the Azure Moon House, the pain of the soul core would be his punishment. If it weren't for the fact that those above the Ghost's sovereign realm can't join the Heavenly Exterminating Army, why would we need him? Supreme Heavenly Ghost said coldly. The woman in a black dress eyes flickered. She covered her face and laughed. Master, you don't just care about his realm, right? That demon monkey. All right, you can go back to the Heavenly Emperor's Supreme City. It's hard to avoid mistakes if you stay too long, Supreme Heavenly Ghost said faintly. At the border of the Heavenly Emperor region, On a spacious and extremely magnificent white jade road, Wang Kai was still sitting upright, looking at the road paved with white jade. For a moment, he was a little stunned. Is the central wasteland so awesome? Is there such a road at the border? Flaunting your wealth to such an extent and in front of me. Damn it, I'll tear it all down. Wang Kai muttered fiercely. He was venting all the dissatisfaction he had received from Supreme Heavenly Ghost on the white jade road. However, before Wang Kai could do anything, Lord Cat, who was in the heaven-reaching tower, stroked his long whiskers and said with a smile, "The central wasteland is the most respected place in the 8 wastelands. This road can only lead to the Heavenly Emperor's city. You can't destroy it. Otherwise, the Heavenly Court won't let you off. When the time comes, you'll become a fugitive before you can even step into the Heavenly Emperor's city." Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he heard this. He snorted and stood up with his hands behind his back. He looked down at the white jade road and smiled faintly. "Count yourselves lucky. I'm kind and benevolent. I don't want to harm any living beings. Naturally, I don't want to destroy any inanimate objects or structures. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Pfft. Hee, this person is so interesting. Miss, look, that guy is talking to the white jade road. He even said that he would spare the white jade road's life. He obviously doesn't dare to touch it, but he's still trying to look for a way out." As a clear and melodious laughter sounded out, it immediately caused Wang Kai's brows to twitch. He abruptly turned around and saw that there was a group of carriages coming over. Heavens! That's a ghost cultivator. He's a ghost cultivator. Everyone, get ready to kill the enemy. Chapter 465. Kill the enemy? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at the carriage in front of him. There were more than 20 guards and their auras were at the Tao God realm. The burly man who spoke was the most powerful one. However, he was only at the human sovereign realm. Over 20 guards separated into 2 sides and protected a carriage in the middle. In front of the carriage, there was a young lady in a green dress. Her appearance was not considered beautiful, but she could be considered a pretty daughter of a humble family. She was the type that was extremely pleasing to the eye. "Who do you want to kill? Kill me? A mere human sovereign realm martial artist dares to say that he wants to kill me? Haha, I'm not afraid to tell you that even sovereign heavenly ghost had to be obedient in front of this sect master. He even cried and yelled as he offered up his supreme stone." Wang Kai smiled proudly as he took out a black supreme stone with a flip of his hand. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Gosh, it's really a supreme stone. Could he be the direct descendant of a sovereign force?" Everyone's eyes widened as they stared blankly at the black stone in Wang Kai's palm. For a moment, everyone was shocked beyond words. They had heard of the direct descendant of a sovereign force long ago, but they had never seen one. Now that it had suddenly appeared in front of them, no one could react in time. As for Wang Kai's claim that the Supreme Stone was given to him by the Heavenly Ghost Supreme, no one believed him. Even if he was a direct descendant of a Supreme Being, it was impossible for him to make a Supreme Being submit. Wang Kai couldn't help but shrug when he saw this scene. He thought to himself that they didn't believe his bragging and instead mistook him for a direct descendant of a sovereign-level force. However, it made sense. Who would dare to take the supreme stone that the direct descendant of a sovereign force had? It was the top force in the 8 wilderness. If one offended it, there was no way to escape and death was inevitable. You guessed it right. My name is Wang Kai. I'm the sect master of the Defying Heaven sect. I'll be the leader of a supreme being force in the future. Yes, I've come to the Central Wasteland to drink tea with the Celestial Emperor and reminisce about the past, Wang Kai said with a calm smile. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 6th stage human sovereign realm. Would he become the leader of a supreme force in the future? Did he come to the central wilderness to drink tea and reminisce with the celestial Tharch? Doesn't that mean that this person is the young master of a paragon force? Someone with such a high status. If they didn't see the Supreme Being stone, everyone would definitely treat Wang Kai's words as a joke. However, the Supreme Being stone couldn't be fake. It was right in front of them, so they had no choice but to believe it. After all, the Supreme Stone was the status symbol of a supreme force. At the thought of this, everyone's expression changed drastically. Even the servant girl in green who was standing in front of the carriage turned pale. She quickly whispered something into the carriage. Haha, Green Dragon Hall, White Tiger Palace, Vermilion Bird Palace, Black Tortoise Mountain, Levitation Taoist Sect, Golden Cicada Buddhist Temple, Soul-Breaking Valley, Medicine God Mountain, and Exquisite Refinement Sect are the 9 supreme forces. Together with the Heavenly Court in the Central Wasteland, they make up the 10 supreme sects in the 8 wastelands. Their successors are born once every 100 years. I love literature and ancient books. None of the 10 supreme sects have any descendants. As a faint laugh came from the carriage, the guards' eyes widened. They looked at Wang Kai in shock and then looked at the Supreme Being stone in his hand. For a moment they were very suspicious. Miss, you're right. You haven't cultivated for more than 100 years. You haven't seen the successors of the 10 supreme sects that were born nearly 200 years ago. However, I was fortunate enough to see them. At that time, the 10 supreme sects were very famous in the 8 wastelands. I've heard of their surnames. None of them have the surname Wang, the leading guard said coldly. Whoosh! As soon as the words came out, the faces of the guards were filled with disdain. They might be doubtful if the miss was telling the truth, but the words of the leader of the guards couldn't be false. After all, the guards present knew a little about the leader of the guards. They knew that his talent wasn't enough. It took him 300 years to break through the sovereign realm and reach the peak of the sovereign realm. Naturally, they knew about the events that happened 200 years ago. Humph, so you're a fake. To think that I thought you were the young master of a supreme sect. After all this time, you're just bragging. However, the sovereign heavenly ghost of the Soul Break Valley has never revealed his surname. Since you're a ghost cultivator and also have the Supreme Being Stone, you should be the young master of the Soul Break Valley, right? Whoosh! Suddenly, a soft laughter was once again emitted from within the carriage. These words immediately caused the faces of the numerous guards to turn deathly pale. Even the guard leader's eyes abruptly widened as cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Looking at the leader of the guard's terrified expression, the other guards didn't need to think to know that he didn't know the surname of the sovereign heavenly ghost. Miss, can you say it all at once? The hearts of the guards pounded violently as they felt a gust of cold wind blowing from the soles of their feet. However, since you slandered and insulted the sovereign heavenly ghost, you shouldn't be his successor or son. Since you also have the Supreme Being Stone, could it be that you stole it from the heavenly ghost tomb? Did you come to the central desolate region to seek refuge? Whoosh! Another chuckle came out, causing the corners of the guards' mouths to twitch as their bodies spasmed. Some of them even fell to the ground speechlessly. They couldn't stand the Miss Slow narration. Little girl, why are you blabbering endlessly over there? Is your skin very tight and you want this sect master to loosen it for you? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and strode towards the carriage with an unfriendly look in his eyes. Stand up and protect the miss. Protect the miss with our lives. Clank, clank. In an instant, the 20 or so guards clenched their teeth and pulled out their weapons under the command of their leader. They stared at Wang Kai with vigilance. All of you, stand down. This young master's cultivation is not below yours. As the faint chuckle came from the carriage, the expressions of the guards abruptly changed as they became even more vigilant. Some of them even felt their legs tremble. They had long heard of the deeds of ghost cultivators. They killed people and devoured their souls in an extremely cruel and merciless manner. Patter! Wang Kai's footsteps paused when he heard this. He flipped open his folding fan and gently fanned himself as he smiled in surprise. Can you see my cultivation? The system was able to hide one's cultivation. Until now, it had never failed no matter what kind of expert it met. Even the sovereign heavenly ghost was unable to peek into the system. But this girl could see through it? However, another chuckle came from the carriage, causing Wang Kai to narrow his eyes. Haha, of course I can't see through it. This little girl has never cultivated before, but I can feel that they are not your match because young master has been very calm from the beginning to the end. If such calm emotions are not strong, then wouldn't you be the same as those deliberately mystifying Jianghu magicians? Chapter 466. This girl was smart. Her words were ambiguous. On one hand, she was testing his true level. On the other hand, she was lowering herself. However, in Wang Kai's eyes, it was just a petty trick. You guessed right. I am indeed stronger than them. In terms of my true level, I am thousands of times stronger than the Sky Emperor of the Heavenly Court. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Hearing this, everyone was filled with disdain. No matter how strong Wang Kai was, it was impossible for him to reach the Sky Emperor's level. After all, he was one of the 10 great supremes. I am Ji Rushua. My father is the right Prime Minister of the Heavenly Court, Jijing. I wonder which force you are from? If you don't mind, I would like to meet you. Walala, following the chuckle, a slender finger stretched out from the beaded curtain of the carriage. As it moved, a girl in a silver dress stepped out. Miss, you quickly step back. He is a ghost cultivator. He will eat your flesh, drink your blood, and devour your soul, the servant in green dress said with a pale face. Her small body trembled as she stood in front of Ji Rushua to protect her. Ji Rushua shook her head slightly. Her eyes were bright as she looked at Wang Kai. She smiled and said, Cui step aside. If this young master has evil intentions, I am afraid we will not be spared. Hearing this, a strange look flashed across Cui-er's beautiful eyes. She lowered her head and retreated behind Ji Rushua. Picturesque eyebrows, thin lips, a pretty face like a silver plate, skin like snow, a graceful and delicate figure, a curvaceous figure, a beautiful woman, tsk, this small figure, is enough to play with for a few years? Wang Kai's eyebrows slightly raised, and he couldn't help but improvise a poem. However, Ji Rushua frowned when she heard these words. She softly smiled and said, Haha, young master's way of praising people is truly unique. If you are not satisfied, you are not satisfied. Stop pretending. Wang Kai shrugged when he saw this. He couldn't help but glance at the maidservant behind her. His eyes narrowed slightly as he walked over. Ding. Ding dang. Stop. You're not allowed to get close to young miss. That's right. Young miss is the daughter of the right Prime Minister of the Heavenly Court. Her status is noble. Even if she doesn't cultivate, she can walk freely in the 8 desolations. No one dares to disrespect her. Hearing the words of the guards, Wang Kai frowned. With a flip of his hand, he sent all of them flying with his pressure. A light flashed in Ji Rushua's eyes when she saw this. She had a strange expression on her face. She smiled and said, So you are a grade 6 human sovereign, but you can defeat Guard Zhang, who is a peak human sovereign. In that case, your full combat strength should be at grade 6 human sovereign. There were a total of 4 types of cultivators in the central wilderness. First, unactivated bloodline. Second, activated bloodline. Third, constitution. Fourth, innate bloodline and inherited bloodline. Of course, there were plenty of geniuses with 4 different abilities belonging to a single person. However, as long as he could use the power of his bloodline, he would definitely reach the 10th level. Although Jirushua had never cultivated before, she was very clear about it. No. This sect master's ability is not something a human venerate or holy venerate can compare to. If I use my full strength, I'm afraid the 8 desolates will explode. So, you should tell that maid not to play any tricks, lest she gets into big trouble. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a playful smile, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points." Ah! Thud. When these words were spoken, the green-clothed female servant was so shocked that she let out an exclamation. The white-colored jade plate in her jade-like hand also fell to the ground. It was sparkling with light. Swoosh! Wang Kai smiled playfully when he saw this. He flipped his hand and called the white jade plate over. He played with it a few times in his hand and squeezed it hard. Crack! As the white jade plate turned into powder, Jirushua's expression finally changed. A trace of panic flashed across her eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. On the other hand, the servant in green was so frightened that her face turned pale. She quickly knelt on the ground and sobbed, "Miss, I'm useless. I didn't have time to send a message to the Prime Minister. It's destined. You can't go against it. Get up." Jirushua gently shook her head and turned to look at Wang Kai. She softly smiled and said, "Young Master Wang, although I don't know which faction you are from, the jade plate you crushed is something that belongs to me. My father will use it to ask Elder Tianji to predict the future. When that time comes, you won't be able to escape misfortune." She failed to stall for time, so now she's threatening me? This girl is quite interesting. Wang Kai shrugged and glanced at her indifferently. He smiled strangely and asked, "Miss Ji, could it be that you've misunderstood something? This sect master has never said anything about doing anything to you, so why do you think this sect master wants to harm you?" Swish! Jirushua's face stiffened when she heard his words. Astonishment flashed in her eyes as she said in a strange tone, "Ghost cultivators have always been known to be cruel and bloodthirsty. Towards humans, they never, you're a human." Buzz. Halfway through her words, Jirushua saw that Wang Kai's skin was changing. His snow-white hair turned back to a thick black, while his pupils also returned to normal. When Wang Kai completely returned to his original appearance, the deathly aura that permeated his body also disappeared without a trace. "Of course, I'm from the Central Desolation region. I'm from the Sky Burning Blood and the Wang clan. I went to the Soul-Breaking Valley to extort Sovereign Heavenly Ghost and used a secret technique to transform into a ghost cultivator's appearance. Now that Sovereign Heavenly Ghost has suffered, I'll naturally retreat." Wang Kai shrugged and smiled casually. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 7th grade Sovereign Realm. Sky Burning Blood and the Wang clan." Swish! Jirushua's eyes lit up when she heard his words. She looked at Wang Kai in astonishment. After a long while, she shook her head and said in doubt, "The Wang clan is currently in the Celestial City. It's one of the 3 great clans in the city. The head of the Wang clan has a good relationship with my father. I also have a good relationship with the young lady of the Wang clan, Wang Liani. However, I've never heard of a direct descendant like Wang Kai." This woman was very suspicious and very serious. Wang Kai curled the corner of his mouth and said with disdain, No, you're wrong. The Wang clan in the Celestial City is a branch of the Wang clan. I'm the true direct descendant of the Wang clan. Now that I've returned, there are some things that I have to take care of. You're the banished branch of the Wang clan." Jirushua's eyes were filled with shock. Even her face had changed. Wang Kai twisted his brows when he heard her words. He corrected her in an unfriendly tone, "I'm a direct descendant. The Wang clan in the Celestial City is a branch." Chapter 467. "Miss, we swear to resist with our lives. Leave quickly, miss." Clink, the 20 or so guards all rushed over with blood at the corners of their mouths, their faces deathly pale. Even though they knew they weren't Wang Kai's match, and that there was a chance they would die in this battle, at this moment, they still had the determination to die. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes at this scene. They were just guards. It was impossible for them to be so loyal without a reason. Just like the guards of the Wang family in Fan Province. Weren't they also so loyal to their master? No matter what, the Prime Minister's residence had such charm and such guards. In Wang Kai's opinion, it was definitely not bad. Thinking of this, Wang Kai shrugged and smiled with an indifferent expression. "Swear to die, my ass? You're just guards with low cultivation bases and no reputation. I can't be bothered to kill you. Get lost." As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Kai, under the astonished gazes of the guards and Ji Rushua, walked along the white jade road with one hand behind his back and the other fanning himself. Hee, this sect master's pretentious act this time is really perfect. Wang Kai shook his head and thought proudly in his heart. Ji Rushua looked at Wang Kai's back and frowned slightly. After a moment of hesitation, she invited him. "Young Master Wang, where are you going? If it's convenient, I can give you a ride." "Miss, you." The girl in the green dress turned pale. The guards were also speechless. He was supposed to leave, but he had to stay. Who the hell knew what kind of person Wang Kai was? Clack. However, when Wang Kai stopped his footsteps and turned around, the hearts of the maidservant and the numerous guards violently jumped. They secretly yelled, "Please don't agree. The one who should be asking whether it's convenient or not should be me, right? Miss G is as pure as ice and as pure as jade, and as beautiful as a flower. As the Prime Minister's daughter, your literary talent is outstanding. If you travel in the same carriage as this cult master, I'm afraid it will ruin Miss' reputation, so—" As Wang Kai's voice paused, the eyes of the guards and the green-dressed maidservants were filled with anticipation and surprise. Weren't these words meant to reject him? "Young Master Wang, there's no need to be so courteous. If that's the case, then—" Ji Rushua's beautiful eyes flickered slightly. Just as she was about to speak, she was interrupted by Wang Kai. "Therefore, I can sit outside the carriage and act as Miss G's bodyguard." Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders. His expression was rather indifferent as he smiled and said, "Plop." Plop, in an instant, those guards all fell to the ground, as if they had been petrified. They stared blankly at Wang Kai. They never thought that he would agree in the end. Could it be that those words from before were all nonsense? Shameless! The green-dressed maidservant snorted. She despised Wang Kai in her heart. Don't be rude. You can go inside the carriage, and let young Master Wang stay outside," Ji Rushua said softly. Then, she nodded and smiled at Wang Kai. She turned around, parted the bead curtain, and walked in. Bang! Wang Kai flipped over and sat firmly on the side of the carriage. He looked at the green-dressed maidservant, who was standing there with her mouth pouted. He could not help but squint his eyes and laugh mockingly. "You can sit outside. Let's sit together, okay? Yes, this cult master will also teach you some literary and military strategies. This cult master is not boasting, but in this world, whether it's literary or military, no one can compare to me." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Bragging? Stuck out her tongue and walked into the carriage with a snort. When the guards saw this, they could only helplessly accept their fate. Under the arrangement of Guard Zhang, the carriage began to move again. However, along the way, Guard Zhang and the other guards had a strong hostility towards Wang Kai. Young Master Wang is a dignified martial cultivator. How can he know literature? In the carriage, Ji Ruxue, who had always been a lover of literature, could not help but ask. Miss, don't believe his nonsense. Look at his shameless appearance. He's no different from a hooligan. How can he know literature? I think he must have seen your beauty and deliberately bragged. Cui pursed her lips and snorted. Ji Ruxue heard this and frowned slightly. Seeing that Wang Kai didn't answer, she thought he was deliberately bragging and sighed in her heart, ignoring him. In the past, there was a wild guest who disagreed with immortals. His brush strokes shocked the wind and rain, and his poems made ghosts and gods weep. His fame grew and spread. The dragon boat moved at night and the beasts stole the robes. In the daytime, he came to the palace hall, and the clouds followed in his footsteps. Suddenly, a poem was recited outside. The two girls in the carriage were shocked and their eyes widened. This was especially true for Ji Ruxue. She had always loved poetry, so when she heard this poem, she couldn't help but feel happy. She exclaimed, "Madman Immortal Wang, young Master Wang is so talented. I admire you." Haha, it's just the past. Back then, I was weak and could not practice martial arts, so I changed my cultivation to literature. Unexpectedly, I became the top scholar and the prime minister for a few days. Later, I was blessed by the heavens and earth and successfully practiced martial arts. I left my mortal hometown and came to the 8 barons where martial arts were respected. The hardships? Sigh, let's not talk about it. Wang Kai shook his head and sighed. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Hearing this, Ji Ruxue's eyes shone brightly. However, there was still a look of surprise in her eyes. She could not help but ask softly, if this poem was really written by young Master Wang, it would be a waste for him to be the prime minister in the mortal world. He must have stolen someone else's poem. How could he write a poem with his sloppy appearance? Miss, you can't believe his nonsense, Cui said sarcastically. Outside the carriage, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. He smiled casually and said, "When the world is muddy, I am the only one who is clear-headed. When everyone is drunk, I am the only one who is clear-headed. When others laugh at me for being crazy, I laugh at them for not being able to see through me. Things in the world are both true and false. I wonder if this sect master is right? Miss G?" Whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, Cui, who was in the carriage, opened her eyes and mouth wide. For a moment, she could not think of any words to refute. If the poem at the beginning was plagiarized, then what about the current one? Moreover, there was no flaw in it at all. Looking at Ji Ruxue, her eyes suddenly lit up. She got up and walked to the bead curtain with light step. She stretched out her slender jade-like hand and pushed it aside. Her tone was respectful as she invited, "Young Master Wang is really talented. Please come in for a chat." Miss, when the guards heard this, all of their expressions changed. They stared blankly at Wang Kai. They did not expect this person to be so powerful. How long had it been? To be able to gain the appreciation of Mississippi. One must know that there were many young people who pursued Mississippi. There were all kinds of big families and big forces. Until now, the number of people who could gain the appreciation of Miss was definitely not more than a handful. Chapter 468. Oh my God! The genius of the Wang family, Wang Mie, is here too. Rumor has it that Wang Mie has been stuck in the immortal sovereign realm for 60 years. Even with the sky-burning bloodline, he's still one step behind Shaoyun. What do you know? The withering sun bloodline of the Shao family doesn't lose to the sky-burning bloodline. Hearing the exclamations of the crowd again, Wang Kai's expression suddenly froze, and he quickly followed everyone's gaze. At the other end of the street, A young man wearing black clothes and holding a black spear was walking over. His face wasn't as handsome as Xiao Yun's, but it was sharp. His eyes were arrogant as if everyone was inferior to him. Withering Sun bloodline, Xiao family, Xiao Yun. Sky burning bloodline, Wang family, Wang Mia. 2 of the 3 great geniuses are here. Who's the other one? Could it be that he also has the unique fire bloodline? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and glanced at Wang Mia before drinking by himself. Wang Kai had always been indifferent towards the Wang family in the central wilderness. They were just a branch, but they became the main branch. Why didn't they follow the main branch to Fan province? Wang Kai didn't feel good when he thought of the old man's suppressed anger. Bai Yu is here too. What exactly happened today? 3 great geniuses are here at the same time? It's rare for the 2 of them to meet in the past. Could it be that Xiao Yun invited the 2 of them? Now that he has broken through to the ultimate god realm, he defeated the other 2 geniuses and became the leader of the central wilderness 3 great geniuses? Bullshit. Xiao Yun isn't the kind of person who cares about fame. Moreover, with his ultimate god realm strength, he doesn't need to fight to be the leader of the geniuses. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard the crowd's discussion. He couldn't help but look down. Wang Mia and Xiao Yun, who had arrived earlier, had already arrived downstairs. At one end of the street, there was a young man in blue clothes with a red saber hanging from his waist walking over with quick steps. His appearance was handsome to the point of being slightly bewitching, and he was even slightly stronger than Xiao Yun. In the face of the unique flame that has melted into the bloodline, there is no notification. It seems that I should really convert the dustless flame into the dustless bloodline. Also, why didn't the sky burning flame awaken in my body? Wang Kai frowned and thought to himself, how much bragging value does it take to transform the dustless fire into the dustless bloodline? Host, to fuse the dustless flame into the dustless bloodline, 1,000 bragging points are required. Then, if I want to awaken the sky burning flame in my body, how many bragging points do I need? Host, if you wish to awaken the sky incinerating flames within your body, you will need to consume 100 bragging points. Upon hearing the notification, Wang Kai's brows immediately twitched. With a rather casual expression, he activated his mind and said, "Then let's melt the dustless flame into the dustless bloodline. The sky-burning flame will also awaken at the same time. Congratulations to the host for successfully melting the dustless flame into the dustless bloodline. 1,000 bragging points are required. Congratulations to the host for successfully awakening the sky-burning flame. 100 bragging points are required." 1. Abruptly, flames started burning around Wang Kai one after another. The pale white dustless fire without any impurities and the golden sky incinerating fire. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared. Wang Kai shrugged when he saw this. He glanced at the surrounding diners of the inn and saw that they were all focused on the 3 geniuses at the moment. They didn't notice the flames that had just ignited in their bodies. Seeing this scene, Wang Kai could not help but secretly let out a sigh of relief. Even if he was not afraid of any experts, he did not want to reveal it too early. After all, he was still in the human sovereign realm. It was not too much to leave some tricks up his sleeve. "Everyone, please leave for a moment. All the expenses will be paid by Yun." As a gentle voice sounded out, Xiao Yun, Wang Mia and Bai Yu appeared on the second floor of the inn. When they heard Xiao Yun's words, none of the experts were unhappy. Instead, they stood up and cupped their fists towards him and took the initiative to leave. They even personally paid for the drinks and other expenses. This scene immediately caused Wang Kai to be even more surprised. He did not expect Xiao Yun to be so popular. Looking at his gentle and modest appearance, he could not help but think of the hypocrite Diyin. He can't be pretending, right? Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and continued to sit in front of the table. He did not have any intention of leaving. Xiao Yun, you have a lot of face. However, it seems that there is a brat who is not willing to give you face. Wang Mie snorted in disdain. Swoosh. Swoosh. When these words were spoken, it immediately caused Xiao Yun and Bai Yu to simultaneously fix their gazes on Wang Kai. When they saw that he was still drinking by himself and did not pay any attention to them, their gazes were filled with surprise. Haha, if Brother Xiao does not have a lot of face, why don't Brother Wang give it a try? Bai Yu narrowed his eyes and softly chuckled. Wang Mie snorted in disdain when he heard this. With a flip of his hand, he pointed his long black spear at Wang Kai from afar and sneered, "Will Brother Xiao watch me kill this brat without doing anything? Kill?" Before Xiao Yun could speak, Wang Kai had already twisted his eyebrows and could not help but shrug his shoulders. He turned around and looked at Xiao Yun with a mocking expression as he faintly smiled. "Young man, it is not a good thing to be too pretentious. Your name is also not a good sign. If you dare to act pretentious in front of me again, you can say your name in reverse and that will be your outcome." "Say it in reverse." "Wang Mie Mie. Wang." Swoosh. The moment these words were spoken, Wang Mie's pupils abruptly contracted. Rays of light suddenly appeared in his eyes and golden flames that seemed to be able to destroy everything started to burn around his body. "This brat is rather interesting." Bai Yu's face was filled with surprise as he sized up Wang Kai. It was rare to see someone who dared to mock Wang Mie in such a manner in the central wilderness. Furthermore, there were very few of the younger generation in the central wilderness that could remain calm in front of the three of them. "Brother Wang, please stop. We are here to discuss important matters and not to kill." Xiao Yun frowned and said. He was extremely unhappy that Wang Mie wanted to kill just because of a disagreement. Hearing this, Wang Mie snorted and eerily swept a glance at Wang Kai as he grinned sinisterly. "Brat, consider yourself lucky today. K your grandfather. Did I give you some face?" Swoosh. In an instant, Wang Kai suddenly stood up. His face was as black as ink as he loudly cursed. He even flipped his hand and picked up the wine jug on the table and threw it at Wang Mie without any explanation. Crack, crack, crack. This scene instantly caused the three great geniuses to be dumbfounded. They did not expect that Wang Kai would actually dare to act so violently. Such a thing had never happened in the central wilderness. As a result, Wang Mie was unable to react in time. While he was still in shock, the wine jug directly smashed into his head. The shattered fragments and wine dripped down. Chapter 469. This sect master has roamed the universe for hundreds of millions of years, and I have seen too many pretentious bastards like you. However, those who dare to act pretentious in front of this sect master have never had a good ending. Wang Kai sneered with an unfriendly expression. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have obtained 100,000 experience, 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 8th grade sovereign realm." The moment those words came out, Wang Mie's eyes were about to split apart. He immediately raised his hand to wipe the wine off his face, flipped his spear and stabbed towards Wang Kai. "Bastard, I will definitely kill you." Buzz. "Brother Wang, please stop, don't kill anyone." Xiao Yun's face changed when he saw the situation. He immediately stepped forward to stop Wang Mie, but just as he took a step forward, he was stopped by Bai Yu. Absolute Rebound Divine Shield. Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining the Absolute Rebound Divine Shield, 200 bragging points consumed. Buzz. Crack. Bang whir. Suddenly, a layer of golden barrier appeared around Wang Kai, and Wang Mie, who was attacking him, was sent flying back with his spear and blood spurting out of his mouth. Even the sky incinerating flames were completely scattered by the rebound. Who exactly is this brat? He actually has such might? Without revealing his aura, he was able to force Brother Wang back. Bai Yu's eyes abruptly shrunk as he stared at Wang Kai in shock. Bang! Scram! Xiao Yun coldly snorted. With a flip of his hand, he caused Bai Yu to retreat a few steps. In the blink of an eye, his figure flashed as he arrived in front of Wang Kai. With a gentle gaze, he said, "This brother, I wonder if you can give me some face and stop here? If you said that you were going to help Brother Wang, I would not have stopped you. This matter has caused me to suffer a punch from you." Bai Yu unhappily shrugged his shoulders as he swept a glance at Wang Mia, who was crawling up from the ground, his eyes filled with ridicule. He naturally knew that Xiao Yun's goal earlier was to protect this young man, and not to help Wang Mia. But now, the situation had reversed. Xiao Yun stood on Wang Mia's side and chose to stop Wang Kai. Furthermore, Bai Yu knew that with Wang Mia's usual style, he would definitely not let this matter rest. But, with Xiao Yun here, if he wanted to blow things up, he could only add fuel to the fire. Sure enough, when Wang Mia heard this, his gaze became even more gloomy and cold. Because he was forced to retreat, the arrogance in his heart had suffered a setback, and now that he heard Bai Yu's words, didn't that prove that he was really inferior to that young man? Wasn't Bai Yu implying that right from the start, Xiao Yun already knew that he, Wang Mia, was inferior to that young man? How could the proud and arrogant genius Wang Mia tolerate such disdain? Xiao Yun quickly scram, "I must kill him today. There's no need for you to poke your nose into other people's business." Wang Mia wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, his complexion slightly pale as he berated sternly. Seeing this scene, Bai Yu's face was full of smiles. Before Xiao Yun could speak, he spoke again. "Brother Wang, let's forget about it. Brother Xiao has already seen through that brother's strength, which is why he came to our rescue. Please do not cause any more trouble." "Shut up." Wang Mia's gaze turned cold when he heard this, his eyes filled with killing intent as he glared at Bai Yu. Bai Yu laughed dryly and shrugged his shoulders without any intention to refute. Wang Mia immediately despised Bai Yu in his heart, treating it as Bai Yu being afraid of him. The three great geniuses of the Central Wilderness, Wang Clan, Sky Burning Blood, why would there be such a stupid idiot like you? You don't even know that you're being toyed with like this. Wang Kai's expression was rather disdainful as he sneered. Swoosh. When these words were spoken, Wang Mia instantly became even more furious, the veins on his forehead bulging. He immediately waved his long spear and charged over without caring if Xiao Yun stopped him. "Brother Wang, let's stop. Sorry for the offense." Xiao Yun slightly frowned his brows when he saw the situation. He spoke faintly as he raised his hand and sent a palm out. Buzz. Bang. Whir. In an instant, that seemingly casual palm sent Wang Mia flying once again. Under the impact of his injuries, he instantly vomited a mouthful of blood into the sky. "You cough. You really broke through to the hierarch realm." Wang Mia's eyes bulged out as he coughed out blood with a pale face. He tightly held onto his chest, and even his posture was shaky when he stood up. In the beginning, he was heavily injured by Wang Kai's divine shield. Now that he received a palm from Xiao Yun, a hierarch realm expert, even if Xiao Yun did not use his full strength, it wasn't something that a heavily injured person could withstand. "You're afraid because my cultivation is higher than yours? Don't you know how to take revenge after being toyed with? You stupid idiot!" Whoosh! Wang Kai suddenly took a step and his figure flashed as he arrived in front of Wang Mia. He activated his thoughts and said, "Who am I, Brand Fire Rod? Congratulations to the host for successfully obtaining Who Am I Brand Fire Rod. 200 bragging points have been consumed. You're really courting death." Wang Mia's eyes were about to crack. He was already frustrated because he could not get close to Lin Fan. Now that his target had taken the initiative to come to him, how could he let it go? Immediately, he grinned sinisterly and threw out a punch. Bam! Bang! However, Wang Kai was a step faster than him. He tightly held onto the pitch-black fire rod and viciously smashed it on Wang Mia's head. Instantly, Wang Mia fell to the ground and fainted on the spot. Buzz! As the pitch-black fire rod disappeared, Xiaoyun and Bai Yu were both stunned. They could not believe that a mere fire rod could beat Wang Mia to the point of unconsciousness. Even if Wang Mia was seriously injured, he could not be so weak. Get up. I am Wang Kai and you are Wang Mia. I am your father and you are my son. Your father in the Wang family is actually your stepfather. Your mother and I had a night of intimacy back then. However, because your mother was too fickle, I abandoned her. However, I did not expect that she was already pregnant at that time. After this sect master's bloodline inheritance, you should be extremely intelligent and extraordinary. However, your stepfather is an idiot. Therefore, he created an idiot like you. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said with a mocking expression, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have obtained 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points." Whoosh! These words instantly caused Xiaoyun's eyes to pop out. Bai Yu's face suddenly froze as he stared blankly at Wang Kai. Then, he looked at Wang Mia, who was gradually regaining consciousness on the ground. For a moment, he was unable to react. "I am Wang Mia. You are Wang Kai. You are my biological father. I am your son, father. You have finally come to see your son." Wang Mia muttered a few words in a daze. Then, he instantly sobered up and knelt on the ground with a respectful expression. Xiaoyun and Bai Yu were both dumbfounded as they stared at this scene in astonishment. It was as if they had seen a ghost. Chapter 470. Pada. Wang Kai flipped open his fan, gently waving it in front of his chest, looking at Bai Yu with a mocking expression. He teased. "What are you looking at? Do you want to have a taste of the fire stick?" Swish. The moment these words were spoken, Bai Yu's face instantly stiffened. His eyes were filled with fear as he retreated a few steps back. Red flames also surfaced around his body. Clearly, he was extremely cautious. Red flames, such an aura. Seeing that, Wang Kai's pupils shrunk, his brows furrowed as he sized up the flames on his body and asked with a surprised expression, "Is that the undying god flames that is ranked 8th? That's right. It is the undying god flames, but it is not ranked. The 9 great mystical flames, once fused into one's bloodline, its strength will depend on the strength of one's bloodline and one's understanding of the mystical flame bloodline." Bai Yu squinted his eyes as he spoke. He was already extremely fearful of Wang Kai in his heart. If he were to be like that idiot Wang Mia and suffer a blow from the stick, he would lose all his face. As expected, it is the undying god flames. Hearing that, Wang Kai was even more surprised. He could not help but size him up carefully, and asked with a mocking tone, "If that's the case, the mystical flame bloodline of the Bai family is the undying god flames, right?" "That's right. What do you want?" "I do not have the intention to be your enemy." Bai Yu frowned as he asked. "Enough, a piece of trash like you who is all brawn and no brains. You don't even have the qualifications to be my enemy. I am just curious, once the undying god flames are passed down, could it be that a human or a demon cultivator can obtain it again?" Wang Kai squinted his eyes and asked with a mocking tone. He vaguely remembered, the immortal martial domain demon continent's immortal goddess, Bai Yanyan, didn't she possess the undying god flames? Since that was the case, why was the Bai family in the Central Desolation able to pass it down? "Do you recognize Bai Yanyan?" At that moment Bai Yu looked at Wang Kai in a daze. He was not angry, but instead his eyes were filled with urgency, as though Wang Kai was a treasure. Wang Kai became stunned when he heard that. He looked at him in surprise and gently nodded. "I recognize her. She was once my maidservant." Since you know her name, she must have come to the central wasteland already, right? Whoosh. You're that Wang Kai from the immortal martial domain, Wang Kai of the dustless flame. You actually came to the central desolate mountain range? This is truly wonderful. Our clan is even discussing to head to the immortal martial realm to look for you. Bai Yu's face was immediately overjoyed. He actually kept the undying god flames, and with a look of intimacy, he welcomed Wang Kai as though they were family. Seeing that, Wang Kai's brows twitched. He hurriedly fanned himself and retreated a few steps, saying with disdain, "Stay further away from me, you have yet to answer my question. To think that Brother Wang is actually the controller of the dustless flame. In the history of the 8 desolations, it has never appeared before. I am fortunate enough to meet you today." Xiao Yun cupped his fists and smiled. Whoosh! Bai Yu's figure flashed, blocking Xiao Yun behind him, and said coldly, "Brother Xiao, Brother Wang Kai already has an engagement with my Bai family's goddess, Bai Linger. The Xiao family better not have any ideas about the dustless flame." Have any ideas about the dustless flame? Engagement? Wang Kai's brows twitched when he heard that, and waved his hand to stop Xiao Yun from speaking. He looked at Bai Yu with a strange expression and sneered. "According to what you're saying, the Bai family has designs on the dustless flame? And what's with the engagement? And who is Bai Linger?" No, Brother Wang is mistaken. If Brother Wang is willing, you can follow me to the Bai family and meet Sister Linger. If Brother Wang is satisfied, the Bai family will naturally be willing to marry Brother Wang. If you are not satisfied, the Bai family will also be on good terms with Brother Wang. Bai Yu cupped his fists and smiled. That smile of his, no one knew what he was thinking. Wang Kai frowned when he heard that, thinking that it was good to look at beauties, but it also depended on the situation. If he really went to the Bai family, wouldn't that be like sending a lamb into a tiger's den? It was not that Wang Kai was afraid, but spending bragging points to summon Monkey Brother to deal with the Bai family was too much of a waste. Furthermore, whether Monkey Brother would listen to him was another matter altogether. Let's talk about this another time. I still have matters to attend to at night, and now I need to rest. Bring my son and leave first. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and said. Hearing that, Xiao Yun did not have any emotions and cupped his fists. Brother Wang, I wonder how he is. He will be fine in a month. Wang Kai smiled faintly, with his hands behind his back. He fanned himself and left. Only Xiao Yun, who had a strange expression, and Bai Yu, who had an uncertain gaze, were left behind. And Wang Mie, whose face was filled with grief as he looked at Wang Kai's back view. Does my father not want me any more? Wang Mie said bitterly. Seeing Wang Mie's sincere and tragic look, Xiao Yun shook his head and sighed. Heaven's sins can be forgiven, but self-inflicted sins, sigh. Hee, self-inflicted sins are the hardest to bear. Bai Yu shrugged his shoulders, glanced at Wang Mie with ridicule, and quickly left the inn. Xiao Yun looked at Bai Yu's back view, frowning slightly, and said indifferently, Nothing can be forced, looks like Brother Wang's punishment. Brother Bai, you have yet to comprehend it. Bai family's discussion hall. When Bai Yu returned to his residence, he immediately informed the patriarch and elders of Wang Kai's arrival in the central wilderness, and that he was in the Heavenly Emperor's supreme city. As a result, all the powerful figures in the Bai family who had the right to speak were present. Father, that Wang Kai is right in front of us. How should we deal with him? Bai Yu stood in the middle of the hall, his eyes squinted, his expression filled with respect as he looked at the middle-aged man seated at the front. The middle-aged man was called Bai Yuran, and he was the current patriarch of the Bai family, and also the strongest person in the Bai family, a heavenly venerable. He was also Bai Yu's father. Hearing that, Bai Yuran nodded slightly, looked at all the elders present, and said indifferently, How do you think we should deal with him? Capture him back, force him to marry a young lady of our Bai family, give birth to a child, and inherit the dustless fire. No. Although this plan is stable, it is not a good thing in the long run. We still need to use a proper method to form a relationship with him, and only then will our family be safe. Nonsense. After inheriting the dustless fire bloodline, we can kill Wang Kai. Why do we need to worry so much? Nonsense. Even if we give birth to a child, his bloodline will be Wang Kai's bloodline. If he learns that his father has been killed by our family in the future, will the family still be safe? As long as we treat them well and hide the news. We still can't. Everything in this world cannot be sealed for long. You must know that paper cannot wrap fire. The many family elders were divided into two factions. One faction clearly chose to use a forceful method, while the other faction chose to use a gentle method, and quarreled endlessly in the hall. All right, bring Yen here. Let's hear what she has to say. Bai Yuran waved her hand and said. Her expression did not change at all, as if she was used to such matters of elders quarreling. Father, I think that it is best to bring Sister Ling here as well. Bai Yu narrowed his eyes and smiled. Bai Yuran's eyes flickered when she heard this, and she glanced at him indifferently, nodded slightly and said, Let's do as you wishes, bring Goddess Ling here as well. Yes, clan leader. Chapter 471. A moment later, under the summons of an elder of the Bai family, Bai Yen, dressed in a white dress and with an extremely seductive temperament, slowly walked into the hall. Looking at her light blue eyes, as well as her exposed slender legs, as well as her smooth little belly, all of the elders present couldn't help but hold their breaths. Even though the elders present had cultivated for thousands of years, and had long since looked down on the matters between men and women, they still couldn't stand such a seductive woman and dress like Bai Yen. And beside her, there was a woman in a green dress who looked to be in her 20s. Her appearance could also be called peerless, and her figure was also extremely impressive. However, one of her eyes was blue, and the other was black. Compared to Bai Yen, she had more of a human, and less of the seductive feeling of the demon clan. Yen greets the patriarch. Ling greets father. Following the greetings of Bai Yen and Bai Ling, the patriarch Bai Yuran waved her hand and went straight to the topic. Yen, how do you think we should deal with the matter of Wang Kai? Hearing this, Bai Yen didn't have any strange expression. When she came, she had already heard about the matter of Wang Kai coming to the central wasteland. She immediately pretended to ponder and said, If he is an enemy, we must kill him in one blow, and not give him any chance to survive. Otherwise, the Bai family will fall into eternal damnation. If he is a friend, we must treat him with sincerity, or in the end, it will be counterproductive. Of course, Yen believes that when dealing with people like Wang Kai, it is best to be sincere, and avoid harboring evil intentions. With regards to Wang Kai's actions in the immortal martial domain, Bai Yen had naturally heard of it and witnessed it with her own eyes. Up until now, she still harbored a fearful heart towards Wang Kai. It was just that she had concealed it very deeply. The moment these words were spoken, many of the elders began to frown. The elders who were originally divided into two factions also began to ponder inwardly. Since Bai Yen and Wang Kai both came from the immortal martial domain, she naturally understood Wang Kai's style better than anyone else. To be able to receive such an evaluation from Bai Yen, Wang Kai couldn't help but ponder deeply. On the other hand, Bai Ling gently shook her head. Her pretty face was filled with a casual smile as she said, If father and elder brother intend to let Ling marry him to obtain the dustless flame bloodline, as the goddess of the Bai family, Ling naturally won't refuse. However, we still have to deal with it according to Ling-er's method. According to your method? Regardless of whether it was Bai Yuran, Bai Yu, or the elders, all of them had extremely strange expressions when they heard this. With Bai Ling-er's usual style, if she was given full authority, it would probably make things worse, right? Humph. Could it be that you want to castrate a direct descendant of the Wang clan like you did in the past? If that's the case, what's the use of Wang Kai in my Bai family? Bai Yuan coldly snorted in displeasure. Back then, in order to appease the Wang clan's anger, she had spent a lot of effort. If Wang Kai is really a shameless pervert like that direct descendant of the Wang clan, Ling naturally won't be willing to marry him. Therefore, father, you should find someone else. Oh, Sister Yan is not bad. They are old acquaintances. Bai Ling chuckled in an unconcerned manner. Hearing this, Bai Yuan's expression immediately turned angry, and she coldly reprimanded, "Shut up! Yan has the Bai family's ancestral bloodline, and the rare flame has reappeared. How can we let her be in danger? Sister Ling you have to be careful when dealing with Wang Kai. He is not someone who is greedy for beauty, and I'm not afraid that the clan leader and the other elders will know." Back then in the immortal martial domain, for the sake of the clan's safety, Yan once used her body as an excuse, but was rejected by Wang Kai and was almost killed by him. Bai Yan said indifferently. She did not feel the slightest bit embarrassed when mentioning this matter. With that, Bai Yan turned around and left with light step. She had said what she needed to say, and as for what to do, that was the Bai family's matter. She could not interfere, nor did she want to care. Father, if Wang Kai is really like what Yan said, a villain on the surface but a true gentleman on the inside, why don't we let Sister Ling interact with him? Perhaps something good will happen. Bai Yu narrowed his eyes and said. Hearing this, Bai Yuan frowned slightly. After thinking for a while, she nodded and said, "All right, if Ling is unable to succeed, then we can only use force. As for the matter of the Wang family being annihilated, Grand Elder, you go and inform them. Delay for some time, the longer the better." A white-haired old man on the lower seat stood up and nodded his head indifferently, before quickly leaving the hall. Seeing this, a cold smile flashed across Bai Yu's eyes, while Bai Ling beautiful eyes flickered with a strange light as she smiled with curiosity. "Brother, where is Wang Kai now?" Bai Ling blinked her beautiful eyes and asked with a smile. A man who could make Bai Yan take the initiative to offer herself, and was not moved by it, she really wanted to meet him. Hearing this, Bai Yu gently shook his head, his eyes narrowed as he smiled. He said that he has something important to do tonight. Since our Bai family has chosen to use a gentle method, then let's not disturb him. Let's discuss it tomorrow. As night fell, the silver moon hung high in the sky. Wang Kai, who was sitting cross-legged in the inn, slowly opened his eyes and looked out the window. Looking at the stars in the sky, he could not help but get up and stretch. What a beautiful night scenery, what a bright crescent moon. At this moment, if I don't go to the Azure Moon brothel to have some fun, I would be letting down my handsome face, elegant figure, and extraordinary temperament. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders, his expression indifferent as he smiled. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging, you have obtained 100,000 experience, bragging points are 100 points. If Bai Yu and the rest knew that Wang Kai's so-called important matter was to visit a brothel, who knew what they would think? The Azure Moon brothel was located at the edge of the Heavenly Emperor's supreme city. But even so, as night fell, there was an endless stream of people coming and going. Even the high-ranking officials in the city flocked to it. Wang Kai had one hand behind his back and the other gently fanning himself. His white robes fluttered slightly as he walked on the streets, as if he had returned to the royal city of Fan Province. However, when he arrived at the Azure Moon brothel, it was a different scene. On both sides of the entrance, there were a few gorgeously dressed women waving handkerchiefs as they greeted the customers coming and going. But what caught Wang Kai's attention was the aura of these women. They were all at the Tao Emperor realm. Beautiful women at the Tao Emperor realm were actually soliciting customers in such a place. Such a situation caused Wang Kai to frown. "Sisters, I haven't eaten meat for tens of thousands of years. Tonight, why don't you accompany me? Let's fight for 300 rounds, how about it? Yes, all of you come together. I am a dragon and 5 phoenixes. Don't worry, I have plenty of money. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled with a rather licentious expression. Congratulations to host for successfully bragging. You have obtained 100,000 experience. Bragging points are 100 points. Congratulations to host for successfully breaking through to the 9th grade human sovereign realm. As soon as these words came out, the faces of the 5 young and beautiful women froze as they stared blankly at Wang Kai. Even if they were soliciting customers here, there was absolutely no one who dared to ask them to spend the night with them. But today there was someone who dared, not only dared, but dared. Chapter 472. To make the owner of the Azure Moon Tower take the initiative to come down and meet him? Who was this kid? How could he be so arrogant? Everyone's faces stiffened when they heard this. They were stunned. In the Heavenly Emperor's supreme city, Wang Kai was definitely the first one who dared to use force in the Azure Moon Tower and order the Azure Moon Tower Master to come down. However, something unexpected happened. The 2 guards did not show any dissatisfaction. Instead, they bowed respectfully and said, "Yes." As the 2 guards left, everyone swallowed a mouthful of saliva. When they looked at Wang Kai again, they had already changed their appearance. "May I know little brother's surname? Which force are you from?" "Brother, I'll pay for this entertainment." "Little friend, how about we have a drink together?" Hearing the flattering words of the crowd, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly. His expression was rather indifferent as he gently nodded his head. He looked at the row of long tables at the front and said indifferently, "This sect leader likes to watch beautiful women dance and sing up close." Everyone frowned when they heard this. They looked at the long row of tables and chairs in the front. There were fine wine and delicacies on them, but the seats were still empty. It wasn't that no one wanted to sit there, but that no one dared to. Even if he wanted to rope in Wang Kai, there was nothing he could do now. "Little friend, to tell you the truth, those seats are for the elders and disciples of the 3 great families and the 2 great sects, as well as the high officials of the heavenly court," a middle-aged man reminded him in a low voice. Halfway through his words, he was interrupted by Wang Kai with a wave of his hand. "You all are simply too spineless. What kind of place is this Azure Moon Tower? Open the door to do business, no matter who the other party is, sit wherever the master likes, who dares to say no? Even if the Heavenly Emperor of the Central Wasteland came, he would have to obediently give up his seat and stand by the side to serve." Wang Kai's expression was rather indifferent as he smiled. He immediately placed his hands behind his back and walked towards the front row of seats. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points." When everyone saw this, their expressions changed slightly. Regarding what Wang Kai had said, the front part was still fine, but it involved the Central Wasteland's celestial emperor. Immediately, the guests who had come to seek pleasure all laughed dryly and distanced themselves from Wang Kai. Some even turned around and left the Azure Moon House. With regards to this, Wang Kai naturally took note of it. Immediately, he chose a seat that was closest to the front and the center, and sat there with his legs crossed. "Those who are supposed to sing, those who are supposed to dance, those who are supposed to come and serve me. Well, we can begin now." Wang Kai shrugged and smiled with his eyes squinted. Whoosh! Such a scene caused the corners of everyone's mouths to twitch slightly. After such a commotion, I'm afraid no one will be in the mood to continue playing. He didn't have the guts to continue playing. The reason he stayed behind at this moment was to see what kind of person Wang Kai was and where he came from. Young Master Wang, however, those singers and dancers didn't care at all. They immediately listened to his orders and danced gracefully. The 5 Dao Emperor Realm women who were guarding the door earlier came over at this moment and sat on Wang Kai's left and right respectively. TSK, that's more like it. This is how a whoremonger should behave. Come, let me help you feel your bones. Wang Kai smiled rather complacently. He stretched out his hand and embraced the 2 women in his arms. The 2 women frowned when they saw this, and their beautiful faces were slightly unnatural. They really wanted to leave directly, and they even wanted to beat Wang Kai up. However, when they thought of the Azure Moon House's master's instructions and Wang Kai's strength, they could only endure it. TSK, your bones are a little tight. Let me help you loosen them. Ah! No. It hurts. In an instant, Wang Kai's hands moved from left to right, and it instantly caused the 5 women to dodge in all directions. Moreover, their entire bodies were even numb from his touch, causing their beautiful faces to flush red while their eyes spun. The guests behind them watched this scene with a stunned expression. They'd never imagined that Wang Kai's origins would actually be so formidable. Even those 5 beautiful women that never entertained guests, dignified Dao Emperor Realm experts, had to endure Wang Kai's groping. Such a scene caused the guests to be unable to help but glance at the beautiful women by their side. Even though their cultivations weren't high, they didn't allow a single one of them to touch them. Isn't this gap a little too great? Cough, cough. Young miss, can we? A middle-aged man smiled in a slightly embarrassed manner. However, he'd only spoken halfway when he was interrupted coldly by a woman at the side, and she grunted. If you possess the identity of that young master, and can make the pavilion master entertain you, then we sisters will naturally do as you please. He. Everyone laughed awkwardly when they heard this, and they all pretended that what they'd said earlier was nonsense. Young master, can we go and see the pavilion master now? That's right. Oh, be gentle, let's go and see the pavilion master first. We sisters will definitely make young master happy later, okay? The 5 women's faces were flushed red, and they were all panting as they begged in a coy voice. When Wang Kai saw this, he shrugged and withdrew his hands. He gently fanned himself with the folding fan and smiled faintly. Even someone as awesome as me has once slept with the Heavenly Emperor. It's her fortune to meet your pavilion master and have her come down herself, okay? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Swoosh. As soon as these words were spoken, the expressions of everyone who heard it changed again. The 5 beautiful women instantly regained their senses, and the blush on their faces turned ghastly pale. Humph, how dare you? Where did this bold madman come from? How dare you insult the Heavenly Emperor like this? I think he must be a descendant of a small family from some desolate region. He must feel that he has some background, so he came to the Azure Moon Pavilion to show off? Brother Wang, this person insulted the Heavenly Emperor. As the son of the great general of the exterminating Heaven Army, are you going to ignore it? Humph, by you don't have to argue with him. Your father is also the great general of the exterminating Heaven Army. Why don't you go and take him down? Suddenly, 3 young men walked in from the entrance. The one leading them was the direct descendant of the Wang family, Wang Luan. The one beside him was none other than Bai Yu from the Bai family. Behind them, there was a white-robed man. His features were picturesque, and he looked extraordinarily handsome. He looked like a woman, and his pair of black eyes were looking around mischievously. Wang Luan, your brother Wang Mia is still looking for his biological father. Yet, you have the time to come to the Azure Moon Pavilion to seek pleasure. Looks like there is a huge conflict between you 2 brothers. Oh well, if you don't have the strength to take care of this matter, I can take care of it for you. Bai Yu squinted his eyes and laughed. Wang Luan snorted when he heard that. He immediately pulled out a long sword from his waist and walked towards Wang Kai, who was in the front row. When everyone saw this, They all held their breaths as they watched with rapt attention and incomparable anticipation. Wang Kai was so pretentious just now. If they could make him suffer, it would naturally be a good thing. That person is Wang Kai. One look and I can tell that he is not a good person. He clearly said that he has something important to do, yet he came to the Azure Moon Pavilion. The mischievous man snorted. When Bai Yu heard that, his eyes were filled with a helpless smile. If not for the servant's report, he would have thought that Wang Kai had something important to do. But who knew that he would come to the Azure Moon Pavilion? Maybe the Wang family and Wang Kai are natural enemies, right? Wang Mie was just a fool, and now it's his brother's turn. Bai Yu squinted his eyes and laughed. The man by the side snorted when he heard that. His eyes turned and he said in disdain, "If not for Brother Yu fanning the flames, no matter how stupid those two fools are, they would not have burned themselves." Chapter 473. Bastard! Why aren't you getting up and following this commander to receive your punishment? Do you want me to execute you on the spot? Bang! Suddenly, Wang Luan came close to Wang Kai, brandishing his long sword and splitting the long table in front of him in half. Seeing this, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes slightly and glanced at him with an indifferent expression. Then, he smiled playfully and said, "5 sisters, there is an idiot causing trouble in the Azure Moon brothel. Shouldn't we deal with him?" Swoosh! Once those words were spoken, the mouths and eyes of the crowd instantly became crooked. Even the 5 beautiful women rolled their eyes at Wang Kai. "You caused quite a commotion just now, but now you don't allow others to cause trouble. Commander Wang, you should know the rules of the Azure Moon House, right? Put away your sword and leave the Azure Moon House. You can do whatever you want, but in the Azure Moon House, I hope you can exercise some restraint." A lady in red stood up and said with a smile. The other 4 ladies blinked their beautiful eyes and stood up to block Wang Kai behind them. Wang Luan's face darkened. He stared at them coldly and snorted. "Does the Azure Moon House want to interfere when it concerns the reputation of the Celestial Emperor? Aren't you afraid that the Azure Moon House won't even be able to survive at the edge of the Celestial Emperor's supreme city?" The Celestial Emperor. The 5 beautiful ladies' faces changed slightly. Indeed, under normal circumstances, even if Wang Kai provoked the Wang family, it would not matter. The Azure Moon House's power was enough to make the 3 aristocratic families retreat. However, when it concerned the Celestial Emperor of the Heavenly Court, it was not something the Azure Moon House could handle. Only a Supreme Being could gain the respect of a Supreme Being. Get lost. If you dare to stop me from doing my job again, I don't mind taking you all back with me. Wang Luan grinned coldly, his eyes full of lust. The 5 beautiful ladies frowned at this scene. Even if their cultivation level was not as high as Wang Luan's, the Azure Moon House's power was enough to make him suffer. But now it was impossible. "Sigh, 5 big sisters, please sit down. Isn't he just a useless second generation? Your grandpa's office? Is there a commander who works in a brothel? Are you telling a joke here? You idiot!" Wang Kai's expression was rather disdainful as he sneered coldly. He lightly fanned himself as he stood up and looked at him with a mocking gaze. These words immediately caused Wang Luan's face to turn furious. She immediately unleashed her pressure, causing the 5 beautiful ladies to be sent flying in all directions. In the blink of an eye, she brandished her long sword and directly swept it towards Wang Kai's neck. "Execute him on the spot! Righteous my ass! Absolute rebound shield!" Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Absolute Reflection Divine Shield. 200 bragging points have been consumed. 1. Bang! Crack! Wow! In an instant, Wang Luan's longsword was shattered by the golden divine shield. Even his body was sent flying as he vomited blood. He crashed onto the ground and smashed the long table and chair into pieces. This Commander Wang is at the celestial reverent realm. Even if he is not as strong as the genius Wang Mia, he can't be so weak, right? How strong is this person? Even a celestial reverend could be forced to retreat in an instant? Everyone widened their eyes in shock. Even the 5 beautiful women had their mouths wide open, unable to believe what was happening before their eyes. Wolf tooth mace that wants your life token, Wang Kai said in his mind. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the wolf tooth mace that wants your life token. 200 bragging points have been consumed. Patter! A huge steel rod that was covered with steel spikes appeared in Wang Kai's hand. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, Wang Kai walked towards Wang Luan, whose face was ghastly pale and whose mouth was bleeding. Without any explanation, he slammed the rod down on her head. You? Cough cough. Bang. Wow! Seeing this, Wang Luan's pupils constricted. She clutched her chest and gritted her teeth as she rolled to the side. She managed to avoid being hit on the head, but her back was badly injured. The rebound from the divine shield had severely injured her. Now, she did not even have the strength to stand up. As she tried to dodge the attack, her injuries worsened. She could only lie on the ground and howl in pain. You are such a big dog. Ah, bang! Bang bang! Wang Luan's face turned purple as she howled in anger. Every time she was attacked by Wang Kai, she would be mercilessly attacked 7 or 8 times in a row. Her skin and flesh were torn apart, and there was not a single part of her body that was unharmed. Even the eerie white bones were smashed to smithereens. Aren't you good at bragging? What kind of commander are you? If I were to join the Heaven Exterminating Army, I would definitely be a general. Oh no, a marshal. Wang Kai said with a disdainful smile as he shrugged his shoulders. Congratulations to the host for bragging successfully. You have received 100,000 experience points and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for breaking through to the 2nd grade Holy Honorable Realm. Bang! Bang bang! Crack! Crack! Wow! Immediately after, under the dumbfounded gazes of the crowd, they saw Wang Kai crazily smashing down with his stick. When they looked at Wang Luan again, the high-spirited and vigorous spirit from before had completely disappeared. Instead, she was covered in blood. Other than her head and face, the rest of her body had been smashed into pieces of flesh and bones. Moreover, her flesh and bones were healing rapidly. The people were disgusted when they saw her curled up skin and flesh. I am the commander of the Heaven Exterminating Army, an official of the Heavenly Court. You? Wow bang! Who cares about the officials of the Heavenly Court? Even if I had 3 heads and 6 arms, I would not be able to defeat you. Forget it, I will take your life and let the Heavenly Court know that an official of the Heavenly Court came to visit a brothel in the middle of the night and failed to act tough. Now you will die. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled calmly. As his voice faded, he directly smashed the mace down amidst the exclamations of the crowd. No. No, you can't do this. Bang. Crack. No matter how regretful Wang Luan was at this moment, no matter how much he screamed and begged for mercy, what greeted him was still a stick that directly smashed his head into pieces. Even his spirit was completely obliterated. Congratulations to the host for killing a 1st-grade Celestial Honorable. You have received 800,000 experience points. Congratulations to the host for breaking through to the 4th-grade Holy Honorable Realm. Plop, plop, looking at the pile of flesh and blood on the ground, the people were so frightened that their faces turned pale. They fell into their chairs in disbelief, and could not regain their senses for a long time. An official of the Heavenly Court, a direct descendant of the Wang family, one of the 3 big families, a Celestial Honorable, and the commander of the Heaven Exterminating Army, had died just like that. He had killed without any scruples. Sigh, people nowadays are so good at acting tough. If I don't kill a chicken to warn the monkeys, how can I survive in the central wilderness? Now, I don't even have the mood to listen to music or watch dances. Forget it, bring me to see your leader. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled calmly. It's. The 5 beautiful women's faces were deathly pale. They glanced at the pile of flesh and blood, and their hearts pounded nonstop. Their eyes were filled with worry, and they led the way in a slightly absent-minded manner. Chapter 474. Brother Yu, did we get into trouble? The mischievous young man blinked his eyes as he stared blankly at the pile of flesh and blood. For a moment, he was unable to regain his senses. At that moment, Bai Yu's face was ashen. A cold glint flashed in his eyes as he looked at Wang Kai, who was leisurely climbing up to the second floor. He clenched his fists so tightly that his knuckles turned white. He never expected that Wang Kai would actually dare to kill Wang Luan. What made Bai Yu even more unable to imagine was the method of killing. Wang Kai did not reveal any aura, nor did he use any Dao technique or divine ability. He used a rod that was covered with steel spikes to kill Wang Luan, who was an immortal reverend. How was that possible? Even if it was a Dao artifact, without using any aura or cultivation, it was impossible to kill an immortal reverend expert. If Wang Kai had used his cultivation and had the intention to kill Wang Luan, Bai Yu would definitely have stopped him. But now the situation had exceeded his expectations. That damned Wang Kai, now that the Bai family has delayed the Wang family, they have already used up a lot of benefits. Now that Wang Luan has been killed, how are we going to end this? How are we going to delay the Wang family's revenge? Bai Yu's expression was uncertain as his mind raced. After a long while, he clenched his teeth and said coldly, "We cannot wait for the Wang family to take action. We will use force tonight and pass down Wang Kai's dustless bloodline to the Bai family. Ling you stay here and look after Wang Kai. Do not let him escape." Swish. With that said, Bai Yu turned and left with a gloomy face. The mischievous young man's eyes flickered when he heard that. Brother Yu also has times when he is anxious. This is called being trapped in a cocoon of one's own making. But that Wang Kai is rather interesting, to be able to make the usually calm Brother Yu become so anxious. At the same time, Wang Kai had already reached the 3rd floor under the lead of the 5 beauties and entered a private room. The interior of the private room was extremely spacious. There was nothing in the surroundings except for a bead curtain at the end opposite the door. Behind the bead curtain, a graceful figure was sitting in front of the table, gently playing the zither. Looking through the gap between the bead curtains, one could see the peerless figure of this woman. Her black dress was folded on the ground, and her slender legs were bent as she sat. Her jade-like arms were emitting a soft glow, and her slender fingers were gently moving. It was extremely mesmerizing. Only her face was covered by a jade-green mask, so her appearance could not be seen clearly. However, from the thin red lips that were revealed and the pair of clear eyes, one could tell that this woman's appearance was definitely not ordinary. "Take off your mask and let me have a look." Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and laughed with a playful expression. As he spoke, he waved his fan and a gentle breeze blew past, parting the bead curtain. "Don't be rude." When the 5 beauties saw this, their brows furrowed. Although their faces were still ghastly pale, and it was difficult for them to recover from Wang Luan's death, their murderous intent was revealed at this moment. It was completely different from their previous respectful and reverent attitude. "It's all right. You can all leave for now." As a clear and melodious laugh sounded, the bead curtain was blocked, and the gentle breeze that Wang Kai had stirred up disappeared. "Yes, house master." The 5 beautiful women bowed slightly, deeply lowering their heads as they retreated with light step. Seeing this scene, Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. He waved his fan and walked towards the bead curtain with a playful expression. He laughed mockingly and said, For such an awesome person like me to come to your place, I don't even have a seat. Isn't this a little too rude? Don't you know that even the Heavenly Emperor has to take the initiative to bring a chair for me? Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 5th grade Heavenly Sovereign Realm. Buzz. Ding! Suddenly, as the sound of a zither drifted out, Wang Kai's footsteps were forcefully stopped on the spot. No matter how much strength he used, even if he used his cultivation, he could not move even half a step. My surname is Yen, and my name is Ryu. I am the house master of the Azure Moon House and the disciple of the Heavenly Ghost Sovereign. I have been waiting here for you for a long time. Yen Ryu laughed softly. Yen Ryu? The disciple of the Heavenly Ghost Sovereign? When Wang Kai heard this, he raised his eyebrows and looked at her playfully. He laughed mockingly and said, "If that's the case, we are quite fated to meet. We are quite compatible." Whoosh! As soon as he said this, Yen Ryu blinked her beautiful eyes and looked at Wang Kai through the bead curtain. She smiled curiously and asked, "What do you mean, young Master Wang?" Clack! Wang Kai waved his hand and closed his fan. He laughed mockingly and said, "Because I am called the House of Gold." Ha! Buzz! Ding bang! Suddenly, the sound of a zither rang out. It was like the sound of a heartbeat, and it shook Wang Kai so much that he took a few steps back. "Young Master Wang, don't be so glib with me. If you want to get rid of the poison in your body, you have to do as I say," Yen Ryu said indifferently. "Poison in the soul pill?" Wang Kai frowned when he heard this. He couldn't help but think of the pill he had taken in the wild ghost territory. He suddenly felt strange. Could the soul pill be a poisonous pill? If that was the case, why didn't he feel anything? Kid, the soul pill is indeed poisonous. It can make you suffer for a certain period of time, and it will be more vicious each time. However, you have the body of a sovereign and are immune to all poisons. You have already gotten rid of it. Inside the heaven-reaching tower, Lord Cat stroked his long beard and smiled. When he heard this, Wang Kai suddenly understood. No wonder the Heavenly Ghost Sovereign dared to give him so many sovereign stones. It turned out that he had something on him. However, even the Heavenly Ghost Sovereign didn't expect that he had the body of a sovereign. When he thought of this, Wang Kai immediately pretended to be in pain and said with a mournful expression, "Miss Yen, I will do as you say. Even if you want me to climb a mountain of swords or dive into a sea of flames, I will not hesitate. Yes, even if you want me to kill the Heavenly Emperor, I will agree. Moreover, I will accomplish it beautifully." Congratulations to the host for successfully boasting. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. When she heard these words, Yen Ryu immediately felt amused and smiled. Young Master Wang has such a good character. Even with the poison in your body, you can still crack jokes. Yen Ryu shook her head and smiled. "I am not poisoned at all. So what if I crack a joke?" Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders casually. He was pretending to be poisoned to fool Yen Ryu. If she knew that he wasn't poisoned, who knew what she would do? "Say it. What do you want me to do?" "Oh, that's right. I have been proficient in the 5 notes and 12 temperaments since young. Miss Yan's zither playing is pretty good. If you want me to teach you how to perfectly use the sound Tao, I will naturally not be stingy." Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled with a playful expression. In particular, he emphasized the 2 words, sound Tao. Congratulations to the host for successfully boasting. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. When Yen Ryu heard this, a strange look flashed across her beautiful eyes. She smiled in surprise and asked, "I didn't expect young Master Wang to be able to tell that the Tao I cultivate is the sound Tao. Since young Master Wang claims to be proficient in the 5 notes and 12 temperaments, why don't we exchange pointers?" Fuck. The Tao she cultivates is really the sound Tao? Wang Kai's expression suddenly became extremely stunned. Chapter 475. Surprised? Wang Kai raised his brow when he heard this, and he grinned with a rather playful expression. Smelly woman, wait until this sect master shoots out thousands of brilliants. I will definitely let you eat a good meal, ha ha. Swoosh. When Wang Kai said this, Yen Ruyu immediately frowned when she heard this. Her eyes were filled with confusion as she looked at Wang Kai. She thought to herself, he has already reached the level where the sound blades turn into 10,000. What else can he use? Little did she know that the two of them were thinking completely different things. Swoosh, swoosh. At the same time, the 5 beautiful women also rose into the air. Their beautiful eyes were opened wide as they looked at the 2 people fighting in the sky with shock. The guests in the Azure Moon Tower and the passers-by were attracted by the noise and stopped to look up. When they realized that one of the figures in the void was the pavilion master of the Azure Moon Tower, everyone turned pale with fright. Gosh, who is that kid? He's actually able to fight with the pavilion master of the Azure Moon Tower, who's at the heavenly venerable realm? No, that's not right. The pavilion master of the Azure Moon Tower did not use her cultivation base. She's just competing with her Tao skills. However, that young man is definitely not simple. To be able to compete with a heavenly venerable realm expert in terms of Tao skills, his proficiency in Tao skills is definitely not lower than the level of comprehension of a heavenly venerable realm expert. Everyone was discussing and exclaiming. Looking at the sound wave blades flying in the sky and the sound wave blade domain around the 2 of them, they were indescribably shocked. Wang Kai is actually so powerful. Brother you won't be defeated this time, right? Bai Linger, who was dressed as a man, was standing in front of the Azure Moon Tower. She looked up at Wang Kai and blinked her beautiful eyes, full of surprise. Wang Kai's pupils shrank when he heard the crowd's discussion. He never thought that Yen Ruyu's cultivation base would actually be at the heavenly venerable realm. He never thought that she, who was at the heavenly venerable realm, would actually come to a brothel and was even the pavilion master. Human sovereign, holy sovereign, immortal sovereign, godly sovereign, earthly sovereign, heavenly sovereign, supreme sovereign, 8 desolate supreme realm. With his current cultivation, it could be said that there was a difference of 4 great realms between him and Yenryu. If he were to use his cultivation to control the sound wave Tao technique, he would probably be instantly destroyed. It seems that even if this sect master wins in the end, with her reputation and strength as a heavenly venerable, she won't compromise and let me deal with her. Since that's the case, hee. With that in mind, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes slightly and stopped his sound waves. Instead, he activated his thoughts and said, "Summon the Protector Beast, Master of the Celestial Venerable Prefecture, Lan Qianqiu. Congratulations to the host for successfully summoning the Heavenly Venerable Realm Lan Qianqiu." 1. As the notification sounded, a figure suddenly appeared beside Wang Kai. Under the feet of this figure, there were circles of blue formation runes that were sparkling. Wang Kai, what are you doing now? Lan Qianqiu was stunned at first. Then, he noticed Wang Kai's presence. When he recalled how Wang Kai had controlled him, he was instantly shocked. Previously, because of Wang Kai's strange tactics, the entire Celestial Venerable Prefecture's elders and disciples had been beaten up by Lan Qianqiu and Luo Ning. All of them had ended up with serious injuries. After that, he had fought with Luo Ning for 3 days and 3 nights. Both of them had fought with the same cultivation base. In the end, both of them had sustained injuries and had to recuperate for more than a month to recover. However, now, he had been summoned by a strange tactic. That person is F*CK. Isn't that the master of the Celestial Venerable Prefecture in the Eastern Wilderness? He's also a heavenly venerable from the heavenly court. His surname is Lan Wangye. What's going on? Shouldn't Lan Wangye be in the eastern wilderness? Without the heavenly emperor's order, he's not allowed to step into the central wilderness. So now the crowd quickly recognized Lan Qianqiu. A heavenly sovereign was a famous existence anywhere in the Eight Desolates, especially in the central wilderness, where everyone knew about him. At the same time, Yenryu frowned and stopped what she was doing. She looked at Lan Qianqiu in surprise and asked with a puzzled smile, "Senior Lan, when did you come to the central wilderness?" Everyone wanted to know as well. Every time a heavenly venerable from the eastern wilderness came to the central wilderness, he would definitely have something important to do. Otherwise, the heavenly emperor of the central wilderness would not allow them to set foot in the central wilderness. Lan Qianqiu's face darkened when he heard Yenryu's question. He looked around and sensed the familiar and powerful auras in the distance. He also heard the discussions and exclamations of the people around him. Naturally, he knew where he was. He had come to the central wilderness without the permission of the heavenly emperor of the central wilderness. Wasn't he asking for trouble? Every time he saw Wang Kai, nothing good would come out of it. Even Lan Qianqiu, who was a heavenly venerate, was afraid of Wang Kai. "Wang Kai, you bastard!" In an instant, Lan Qianqiu waved his hand and roared as he was about to attack Wang Kai. However, just as he raised his hand, it froze in midair. There was no need for Wang Kai to command him or control him with his mind. Lan Qianqiu, as a protector beast, did not have the ability to attack Wang Kai. It was completely different from Sun Wukong, who was summoned by the great summoning art. "My beloved disciple, Lan Qianqiu, as the protector of the sky-defying sect, since you're here, why don't you quickly capture Yenryu? Could it be that you want this sect master to skin you alive and execute you here?" Wang Kai snorted with an indifferent expression. "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points." Whoosh! After those words were spoken, everyone's eyes widened. Even Yenryu was stunned in the air. The protector of the sky-defying sect? Lan Qianqiu? The leader of a first-class force, the mansion master of the heavenly venerable mansion, was actually the protector of Wang Kai's sect? Moreover, he was Wang Kai's disciple? Just as everyone regained their senses and looked at Wang Kai with disdain, Lan Qianqiu bowed respectfully and said, "Yes, master." Whoosh! Everyone was stunned again. They were completely dumbfounded. "Young Master Wang, we are fighting fairly. What you are doing?" Yenryu's tone was a little unnatural as she spoke. The beautiful face hidden under the mask had a slight change in color at that instant. Even though she was a heavenly venerable like Lan Qianqiu, she did not want to fight with him if she had no other choice. However, now a whoosh! Rumble! Without saying a word, Lan Qianqiu attacked Yenryu like a madman. As he waved his sleeves, the pressure of a heavenly venerable swept out and crushed the layers of space. The entire Celestial Emperor's supreme city shook violently. Such a situation naturally attracted the attention of countless experts. One could see many figures penetrating through the empty space. There were men and women, old men and middle-aged men. There were even young men who appeared to be in their 20s. However, their strength was extremely frightening. One after another, they unleashed their pressure, protecting the Celestial Emperor's supreme city below the void. Chapter 476. Grandson Lan, there's no need to hold back. Quickly capture him, even if you have to severely injure him. Wang Kai laughed and waved his hand playfully. Whoosh! As soon as he said that, Yenryu's pretty face, which was hidden under the mask, suddenly changed. Both of them were heavenly venerables, but Lan Qianqiu had cultivated for thousands of years more than her. It was difficult to make up for the difference in their cultivation levels. If Lan Qianzhou used his full strength and fought without any scruples, she would be the one to lose, and it would be a crushing defeat. Thinking of this, Yen Ruyu hurriedly hugged her zither and retreated quickly. She kept calling out, "Master Wang, this is a fair fight. Why do we have to fight to the death? Why don't you ask Senior Lan to stop? Ruyu is willing to surrender." Bang! Bang bang! Rumble! Rumble! However, what she received was not Wang Kai's nod of agreement, but Lan Qianzhou's fierce attacks. Yen Ruyu was already struggling to deal with Lan Qianzhou's attack. Now that Lan Qianzhou was going all out, Yen Ruyu was even more exhausted. At this point, Yen Ruyu no longer had a chance to attack. She could only dodge back and forth in the void. However, if the situation continued, it would not be easy to capture Yen Ruyu. Wang Kai's mouth twitched. The heavenly venerables were indeed heavenly venerables. They were indeed difficult to deal with. Even if Lan Qianzhou's strength was stronger than Yen Ruyu's, it would be difficult to determine the winner quickly. It seems that I have to summon Luoning. Even if she is an earthly venerables, it should not be difficult for her to help Lan Qianzhou with the array restriction. Wang Kai frowned and thought to himself, Xiang quickly capture Wang Kai. Whoosh! Suddenly, Yen Ruyu pursed her lips, and a trickle of blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. She could no longer suppress her anger and gave the order. He was infuriated to the extreme by Wang Kai. Yes, House Master! Everyone above the Holy Venerable's realm in the Azure Moon House, capture Wang Kai. The 5 beautiful women responded one after another, and then each took out a long sword. Under their orders, dozens of figures immediately came out from the Azure Moon House. These people all wore black robes and black veils. The weakest of their auras was peak Holy Venerate. There were celestial venerables and even godly venerables. There was even one earthly venerable realm expert. The corner of Wang Kai's mouth twitched when he saw this. The Azure Moon Brothel's foundation was really strong. With such a strong powerhouse and Yen Ruyu, who was a heavenly venerate, they probably wouldn't lose to the heavenly venerate residents. Wang Kai, quickly make Senior Lan stop. Otherwise, don't blame Ruyu for being heartless. Yen Ruyu berated in a stern voice. Hearing this, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and sneered with disdain. If you stop now and let grandson Lan capture you, I will naturally not do anything to you. You don't know what's good for you. Take him down. Yen Ruyu scolded in a delicate voice. Swoosh! In an instant, dozens of heavenly venerate powerhouses stepped into the air and charged towards Wang Kai with a ferocious aura. Impudent! Buzz! Bang bang bang! Suddenly, before the dozens of Zune stage experts could approach Wang Kai, they were shaken by 2 extremely powerful auras until they spat out blood. They were just like meteors as they were sent flying backwards, before they violently smashed onto the ground. Wang Kai is my Wang Tian's son. If anyone dares to harm even a hair on his head, this sovereign will exterminate their entire clan. Not a single one will be left alive. Wang Tian placed his hands behind his back and loudly shouted with a cold expression. Beside him, Lin Yu's face also contained a frosty expression. A chilliness spread within her eyes as she stared at Yen Ruyu. Suddenly, she lifted her jade-like hand and waved it across the air. Buzz! An invisible pressure swept out and smashed Lan Qianzhou to the ground, causing him to spit out blood. However, the pressure did not diminish and once again smashed Yen Ruyu's mask, causing her to fall from the sky. 2 heavenly venerates had been defeated in a single blow. Such strength made the crowd suck in a breath of cold air. Even Wang Kai was stunned for a few seconds. He was shocked by his cheap mother's ability. Could this be the heavenly venerate stage? However, after thinking about it, he felt that something was amiss. Heavenly Ghost Sovereign's aura was much stronger. 2 heavenly venerates. 2 heavenly venerates can fight against a heavenly venerate when they join forces. Separately, they can also suppress a heavenly venerate with a single hand? Wang Kai furrowed his brows and muttered in surprise. His figure flashed, and he grabbed the heavily injured Yen Ryu. Kai, if you like this woman, Mother can make the decision for you. Tonight we will hold the wedding ceremony for you and enter the bridal chamber. Lin Yu walked over to Wang Kai, her mature face filled with doting love. Help me? If the wedding was held tonight, how could they enter the bridal chamber? Fuck. This cheap mother is really domineering. She's very much to my liking. Wang Kai raised his brows and looked at Lin Yu in astonishment. He smacked his lips and was about to say something, but he was interrupted by his cheap father, Wang Tian. Nonsense. Even if she's a heavenly venerate, her identity cannot be changed. As a direct descendant of the Wang family, how can she marry a girl? This matter cannot be allowed. Wang Tian frowned and reprimanded. However, as soon as he finished speaking, Wang Tian regretted it. He looked at Wang Kai tentatively. Seeing that he wasn't angry, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. However, in Wang Tian's heart, he absolutely did not agree to Wang Kai marrying a girl. Lin Yu glared at Wang Tian with tears in her eyes. She then turned to look at Wang Kai dotingly and said in a gentle voice, Kai, don't worry. As long as it's something you like, Mother will get it for you. She's starting to attack him with affection? However, this attack seems pretty good. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and looked at his cheap mother, whose eyes were still filled with tears. He had to admit that she was very much to his liking. Such a domineering personality was indeed worthy of being his mother. However, his cheap father was too rigid. From the way he discriminated against Yen Ryu, it could be seen that he was a traditional person who loved face. Cough cough, I want the Heavenly Emperor to be my wife. Is that possible? Wang Kai asked curiously as he held the unconscious Yen Ryu with one hand and rubbed his nose with the other. Whoosh! As soon as he said that, Lin Yu's face stiffened. Her beautiful eyes widened and her face was filled with disbelief. In the distance, Wang Tian couldn't help but open his mouth wide as he looked at Wang Kai in a daze. He suddenly had a feeling that this wasn't his son. Looking at the crowd of experts who were watching, their eyes bulged and their faces were filled with astonishment. They couldn't believe that Wang Kai would dare to be so bold. He even set his sights on the Heavenly Emperor. Ahem, I'm just joking. The Heavenly Emperor has long been this sect master's woman. Well, thousands of years ago, she fell in love with this sect master. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 7th grade Holy Venerate realm. Chapter 477. Shut up. Don't spout nonsense. Wang Tian scolded sternly. After glaring angrily at Wang Kai, he turned to look deep into the Celestial Emperor's supreme city. He cupped his fists and bowed slightly. Kai is still young and has just arrived in the central wilderness. I hope the Celestial Emperor can forgive me. Ha ha. Suddenly, an indescribable laughter rang out. It resounded through the night sky and reverberated through the city. Immediately, all the experts became stern. They clasped their fists and bowed towards the source of the laughter respectfully. Is the Celestial Emperor a woman or not? I can't tell from this voice. The old man shouldn't have lied to me. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows slightly and muttered with a strange expression. When he had left the fan state, the old man had said that the Celestial Emperor of the Central Wilderness was a woman. He had also told him that if he had the ability, he could marry the Celestial Emperor. But now this voice was neither male nor female. It was really difficult to tell. If it was a woman, it would be fine. But if it was a man, when Wang Kai thought of this, he couldn't help but shudder. He suddenly felt extremely disgusted. What's wrong with Prince Lan? Why is his body disappearing? Could it be? Could it be that he's going to die? Oh my God, no wonder he's a dual heavenly supremacy. Just his combat strength alone is enough to kill the heavenly venerate Prince Lan. As the crowd exclaimed, Lan Qianqiu, who had crashed to the ground, turned into spots of light and gradually dissipated. Wang Tian was stunned by this scene. He quickly frowned and looked at Lin Yu. He asked softly, did you kill him just now? No. Maybe his body is too weak. Lin Yu blinked her beautiful eyes and stared straight at Wang Kai. She didn't even turn her head and waved her hand perfunctorily. Her nonchalant look made the corners of everyone's mouths twitch. Even Wang Tian sighed helplessly. Naturally, he knew his wife's character better than anyone else. Killing a heavenly venerate was indeed nothing. He didn't die. He just returned to the eastern wilderness temporarily. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled calmly. Now that Yen Ruyu had been captured, Lan Qianqiu had completed his mission. He could not stay here any longer, so he returned to where he came from. Wang Kai, hurry up and let go, cough cough. Yen Ruyu suddenly woke up and saw that she was in Wang Kai's embrace. Her face immediately turned white and red as she angrily rebuked him. Upon seeing this, Wang Kai immediately raised his eyebrows. With a flip of his hand, he flipped Yen Ruyu's delicate body over. Both of his hands held her shoulders and supported her in front of him. Just as he was about to open his mouth, he was directly stunned by her beautiful appearance. Her eyebrows were picturesque, and her face was indescribably beautiful. Her eyes were deep, and her red lips were as thin as a cicada's wings. Between her teeth, the marks were especially alluring. What made Wang Kai even more unable to restrain himself was the spot of cinnabar between her brows. It truly made her already extremely gorgeous face even more mesmerizing. Bastard, what are you looking at? Why aren't you letting go? Slap. Suddenly, before Yen Ruyu could finish speaking, she heard a clear sound explode out, and it instantly caused her delicate figure to tremble while her eyes went blank. Wang Kai was also stunned in the void. He looked down in a daze and saw Lin Yu's palm slapping Yen Ruyu's buttocks. Furthermore, she had even forcefully pinched them. Not bad, not bad. You should be able to give birth to a son. Kai, you two can consummate your marriage tonight. Mother will make the decision for you. No one can stop you. Lin Yu squinted her beautiful eyes and smiled. Her doting gaze made it seem as if she would do anything Wang Kai asked for. However, such a domineering slap caused Wang Kai to be stunned for a long time. He had never imagined that his cheap mother would be so mighty. Before he could slap her, she had already gotten her hands on them. What made him even more speechless was that she had pinched them a few times. Not bad, right? Let me try. Wang Kai regained his senses and immediately stretched out his hand with a playful smile. Under Yen Ruyu's humiliated and furious gaze, he directly pinched her buttocks forcefully. That soft and bouncy feeling immediately stimulated Wang Kai to the extreme. He could not help but raise his hand and slap her a few more times. Oh my God, what kind of mother and son are they? Could this be the so-called inheritance? That's the heavenly venerate Yen Ruyu, the Azure Moon House Master. Who knows how many powerhouses have flocked to her, but now, this mother and son have gotten their hands on her. Everyone was stunned as they watched. Some even kept rubbing their eyes. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. However, the truth was right in front of them. They had no choice but to believe it. When they looked at Wang Tian again, he had already turned around with a solemn expression, as if he did not recognize Lin Yu and Wang Kai. However, the twitching corners of his mouth and the helpless expression in his eyes betrayed his current feelings. You've gone too far. In an instant, under Wang Kai's astonished expression, Yen Ruyu, a dignified heavenly venerate female powerhouse, actually burst into tears on the spot. Such cries naturally caused countless powerhouses to shake their heads and sigh. As a heavenly venerate, Yen Ruyu had always been clean and honest. Even the masters of peak forces did not give any face. It was difficult to even see her. Now, she had suffered at the hands of Wang Kai and his mother. She could not resist, so how could she not feel wronged? Women were ultimately women. Ahem, forget it. There are so many women who like me in the world. How can I give up the whole forest for a flower? Next time, remember not to act pretentious in front of this sect master. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and laughed in an unconcerned manner. With a flip of his hand, he threw Yen Ruyu towards the 5 beautiful women who were staring at him with faces filled with killing intent. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Wang Kai, you. Wah bang. After Yen Ruyu was caught by the 5 beautiful women, she cried out angrily and fainted on the spot. She truly hated Wang Kai to the extreme. Yes, Kai is right. There are countless women in the world. There is no need to ruin the Wang family's reputation on a prostitute. Wang Tian gently nodded, his eyes full of approval. Wang Kai's eyebrows instantly twitched when he heard this. He swept a disdainful glance at Wang Tian, secretly thinking that this cheap father had been acting pretentious from the start. Now, he was still acting pretentious and lecturing him for half a day. If not for the fact that his body, hair, and skin belonged to his parents, he would have already fallen out with him. Of course, the most important thing was the old man. The one who truly wished for a family reunion was the old man who was still bitterly waiting in Fan Province. Wang Kai naturally did not have familial love. He only had familial love for the old man. But no matter what, his body, hair, and skin belonged to his parents. This was destined and could not be violated. If he violated this, he would not be considered a person. If he could allow the old man to reunite as he wished, Wang Kai naturally did not mind acknowledging his cheap father and mother. This was the price he had to pay for taking over their son's body. Let's go, Kai. Let's go meet your little brother. Lin Yu blinked her beautiful eyes, her face full of motherly radiance. Meet little brother? Wang Kai's eyebrows instantly twisted when he heard this. His expression was somewhat stunned as he said, "What little brother? Second child?" Chapter 478. Second Child. Lin Yu was stunned when she heard this. Even though she was middle-aged, her face still blushed. She smiled awkwardly and said, Kai, you don't know. It took more than 2 years to rush to the 8 desolations from the endless sea. Okay, I got it. Took more than 2 years. Under the unbearable loneliness, I accidentally had a second child. It's okay. When I first came to the 8 desolations, if there was a woman by my side, I might have given birth to a carriage full of children. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a rather indifferent smile, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Schwa. As soon as he said this, Lin Yu became even more embarrassed. She never thought that her son, who she had not seen for so many years, would become so hateful. He even dared to joke about his mother. No, Kai, don't misunderstand. It's not what you think. When we were in the Endless Sea, your father and I accidentally fell into the Endless Sea. If we hadn't obtained the inheritance of the Black and White Venerables, I'm afraid. Lin Yu quickly explained, but the more she explained, the more confused she became. Under the Endless Sea? The inheritance of the Black and White Venerables? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He had to admit that everyone had their own fortuitous encounters. He had not encountered any trouble from the Endless Sea to the Eastern Desolations, nor had he encountered any inheritance sites. But in the end, did it have anything to do with having a second child? Looking at Wang Kai's increasingly playful expression, Lin Yu suddenly felt embarrassed and uneasy. She bit her red lips and said, The two seniors, black and white venerables, were originally husband and wife. The inheritance they left behind also requires the cultivator to dual cultivate. Isn't it just dual cultivation? Isn't it? Dual cultivation accidentally led to a second child. Just say it. We're all family, what's so hard to say? Wang Kai touched his nose and said rather speechlessly. No wonder his cheap parents were so strong. When they worked together, they could fight against a supreme. It turned out that it was all because of the inheritance of the black and white venerables. Kaiyu, brother Tian. Lin Yu became increasingly shy. In the end, she no longer dared to face Wang Kai. She turned around and threw herself into Wang Tian's arms. Upon seeing this, Wang Tian's expression turned serious as he gently pushed her away. Seeing that there were countless experts watching them, he pretended to be solemn as he coughed a few times and said in an indifferent tone, "Let's go back first." "Wait, let's not talk about going back for now. Let's talk about it first. When do you plan to return to Fanzhou and see the old man?" Wang Kai asked with a frown. If it wasn't for the old man's concern, Wang Kai didn't plan to stay with them. While his body and bloodline could accept it, there was still some resistance in his soul. "We'll talk about it when we get back," Wang Tian said in a deep voice. With a flip of his hand, he swept Wang Kai up and disappeared into the night with Lin Yu. Wouldn't the Heavenly Supremes and the Wang clan's reputation be tarnished if outsiders were to hear it? As Wang Kai left with the Heavenly Supremes, the experts of the Wang clan and the Bai clan below all looked terrifyingly gloomy. They had originally planned to take action against Wang Kai, but who would have thought that Wang Kai was the son of the Heavenly Supremes? The Heavenly Supremes could fight against a supreme martial artist when they joined forces. The three aristocratic families didn't have any supreme martial artists, and the most powerful experts were heavenly venerables. Even if they joined forces, they would definitely not be a match for the Heavenly Supremes. "Father, I was wrong this time." Baiyu gritted his teeth and said with a sense of defeat. If not for the fact that he didn't understand Wang Kai, he wouldn't have ended up in such a state. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have encouraged Wang Luan to provoke Wang Kai. Bai Yuran shook her head and waved her hand. "Forget it, there's still room for redemption. Our Bai clan hasn't gone down the path of destruction. In the future, we'll be on good terms with Wang Kai. If we can make him marry into our Bai clan, we will not only obtain the Heavenly Supreme's bloodline, but also the Heavenly Supreme's." "Yes, Father." Bai Yu's eyes lit up, and he hurriedly cupped his fists and replied. Father, brother Yu, Ling Er doesn't mind marrying Wang Kai. He is able to ignore the head of the three beauties, Yen Ryu, and even dares to kill the direct descendant of the Wang clan. Ling Er likes this kind of man, unlike brother Yu, who only knows how to instigate others. Isn't that tiring? If you are indignant, you should fight and kill. This is a real man. Bai Ling Er, who was dressed as a man, walked over, and her eyes shone brightly as she chuckled. When she said that, Bai Yuran and Bai Yu's expressions turned strange. They looked at each other and felt helpless. Even the head of the three beauties, Wang Kai, could remain calm. Could Bai Ling Er do the same? It wasn't a matter of whether the Bai clan agreed or not, but whether Wang Kai agreed or not. But it had to be said that Wang Kai was able to give up the opportunity to have Yen Ryu, and he had indeed won the praise of many people. At the same time, it also made countless powerful figures jealous and disdainful. Little did they know that it wasn't that Wang Kai was calm, but the appearance of the two heavenly sovereigns made him unable to make a move. Celestial Emperor's Supreme City, West City, in an ordinary mansion. When Wang Tian and Lin Yu landed, Wang Kai was also released. He stood in the courtyard and stretched his body. He snorted unhappily. "I can walk by myself." "All right, Kair, don't be angry. Mother will give you a treasure." Lin Yu smiled with her eyes squinted. She looked like she was coaxing a child, and Wang Kai shivered. He was really not used to it. Brother Tian, quickly take out one of the remaining 2 Dao fruit. Lin Yu laughed softly. As she spoke, she stretched out her hand and waved. But after waiting for a long time, Wang Tian did not take out the fruit of Dao for her. Lin Yu was stunned, and she suddenly turned around and asked in confusion, Brother Tian, what are you waiting for? Quickly take it out. Fruit of Dao? Wang Kai's eyes narrowed when he heard that. He did not know what the so-called fruit of Dao was, but it must be extraordinary if it could make the 2 heavenly sovereigns care so much about it. However, Wang Kai and Lin Yu guessed something from Wang Tian's evasive gaze and the way he opened and closed his mouth. No need, no treasure is of much use to this sect master, so I'll leave it for you to use. Wang Kai shrugged and said with an indifferent smile. However, Lin Yu's face turned cold. She frowned and said coldly, Wang Tian, did you consume it for your own cultivation? Didn't you say that you would leave 2 for Kyer and father? Mother, don't blame father. I've already consumed those 2 Dao fruit. It's all thanks to those 2 Dao fruits that I was able to reach the hierarch realm. In less than a month, I'll be able to make another breakthrough and reach the earthly venerable realm. Along with a gentle laugh, a 15 or 16-year-old boy slowly walked out of the stone house. He was wearing a long black robe, and his body was slender and extremely muscular. He had a long sword at his waist. He looked handsome and a little immature, and his eyebrows were filled with pride and tenacity. Fan, you consumed the remaining 2 fruits of Dao? You? Lin Yu's expression instantly froze, and she was stunned. Chapter 479. Upon seeing this, Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and casually glanced at his cheap brother, Wang Fan. When he saw Wang Fan's arrogant look, he could not help but find it funny. What exactly is that Dao fruit? 2 half-step Supreme Being experts condensed their lifetime Dao skills. If one were to consume one would be able to achieve the peak divine body. If one were to consume another for cultivation, one would be able to reach the peak divine body within 10 years. If one were to consume another, one would be able to reach the peak divine body within 3 years. Wang Fan said indifferently. So awesome? Upon hearing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. Such a speed of breakthrough was really the fastest he had ever seen. However, when he heard the meaning behind his words, Wang Kai came to an understanding. That Dao fruit was surely no different from being imparted cultivation by an expert. After all, it was a Dao skill that 2 half-step Supreme Being experts had cultivated together. It was condensed in the form of a Dao fruit. If one were to consume it, one would be able to obtain the Dao skill cultivation of 2 Supreme Beings. There was no need for one to cultivate and comprehend the heavenly Dao. One could just sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' work. It had to be said that it was really a treasure. However, it was still useless for Wang Kai. In terms of physique, he already had the sovereign body, which was a level higher than the divine body. In terms of Dao skills, he could use all 3,000 great Daos. In terms of cultivation level, if he wanted to increase it, all he had to do was to boast. Thinking of this, Wang Kai really wanted to give Wang Fan a blow when he saw his arrogant look. However, after thinking about it, he was his cheap brother after all. For the sake of the old master and for the sake of the family reunion, he endured it. Oh, speaking of which, it is really a treasure. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and smiled casually. Upon hearing this, tears appeared in Lin Yu's eyes. She looked at Wang Kai with pity and guilt. She felt that she owed her son more and more. But now that things had come to this, there was nothing he could do to reverse the situation. Haha, of course it is a treasure. There is no such treasure in the barren lands outside the 8 wastelands. You can't even see it. Now that I have consumed 3 Dao fruits, not only did I achieve a peak divine body, I have also reached the hierarch realm. In less than a month, I will be able to reach the earthly venerable realm. Even if I reach the heavenly venerable realm, it will not take more than a year. Wang Kai smiled proudly as he glanced at Wang Kai with disdain. Whoosh! As soon as these words were spoken, Wang Kai instantly frowned when he heard this. It wasn't wrong to say that the Tao fruit was a treasure, but what did the barren land outside the desolation mean? Shut up. Fan, have you forgotten about your ancestral grounds? Lin Yu reprimanded with a scowl. Ancestral land? Wang Fan shook his head when he heard this. He looked at Lin Yu and smiled softly. Mother, father once said that our Wang clan's ancestral land is the Eight Desolates. We were once a famous sky-burning family in the Eight Desolate. Lin Yu's expression froze. She suddenly turned around and looked at Wang Tian. She said coldly, Wang Tian, is this how you teach Fan? Don't forget that I was not born in the Eight Desolates. Fan did not mean anything else. The descendants of the Wang clan should have a foothold in the Eight Desolate. We must take back everything that we have lost in the past. Wang Tian said flatly. Lin Yu was so angry that she held her breath. She looked at Wang Tian in disbelief and then at Wang Fan. She had never expected such a scene to occur. Fan, how did I teach you? Why do you have such thoughts? He is your elder brother. Your biological elder brother. Is this how you treat your blood kin? And you, Wang Tian, is this how you treat your eldest son? Lin Yu reprimanded coldly. Eldest son, Wang Tian was stunned when he heard this. He then realized why Lin Yu was so angry. He looked at Wang Kai apologetically and turned to Wang Fan. He said in a deep voice, Fan, come and greet your elder brother. Yes, father. Wait, there's no need. Just as Wang Fan opened his mouth to reply, he was interrupted by Wang Kai with a wave of his hand. This sect master understands. Among my parents whom I have not met for nearly 20 years, only mother still has some familial feelings for this sect master. Yes, this sect master did not want to reunite with you, and now, I don't even want to. If you still have some humanity left, you should return to the Fan province as soon as possible and see the old man who has waited bitterly for nearly 20 years. Goodbye. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and glanced at them indifferently before turning to leave. When they saw this scene and heard these words, Wang Tian and Lin Yu were stunned. Deep guilt surfaced in their eyes. It's all because you did not teach your son well. It's also because of my negligence. Lin Yu coldly glanced at Wang Tian and Wang Fan. She hurriedly stepped forward and blocked Wang Kai in front of the door. She raised her hand and wanted to touch Wang Kai, but when she saw his cold expression, her hand froze in midair. With tears in her eyes, she gently said, Kai, your father wants the Wang family to return to the Eight Desolations. That's why. If you don't have the ability, don't be delusional. Being able to fight against a supreme being is indeed powerful, but you are ultimately not a supreme being. If you can become a supreme being, there will be people who will invite you to the Eight Desolations even if you don't fight for it. This sect master is not interested in what you want. If this sect master wants, the entire Eight Desolations will call me supreme being. Wang Kai sneered with disdain. He moved his feet and was about to leave. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 100,000 experience and 100 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 8th grade Heavenly Sovereign level. Wait, before you came to the Eight Desolations, did the old man give you a painting scroll? Wang Tian asked with a frown. When Wang Kai heard this, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. He squinted his eyes and turned around with a playful expression. He said mockingly, That's right. He gave it to this sect master. What do you want? That's great. Father, this way, we don't have to go back to the Fan region to get the painting scroll. Wang Fan said with a joyful smile. No need to go back to the Fan region to get the painting scroll? These words immediately caused Wang Kai's eyebrows to knit together. The coldness in his eyes also became increasingly intense. His tone was incomparably oppressive as he said in a dense manner, "Wang Tian, do you know the responsibilities of a father and a son? As a father, there is no need. As a son, you are not enough. This sect master really looks down on you. Alright, Kai, give the painting scroll to your brother. Now that he is about to reach the earthly sovereign level, with the help of this painting scroll, he will definitely be able to obtain the heavenly emperor's help and regain control of the Wang family. When that time comes, he will bring the old man over and our family will be reunited." Before Wang Tian could finish his words, Wang Kai had already stepped into the air and left. He had no intention of listening to him. "Wang Tian, you have really disappointed me." Lin Yu could no longer hold back the tears in her eyes. She covered her face and ran into the house. "Mother, don't call me mother." As a reprimanding voice rang out from the house, it immediately stopped Wang Fan from chasing after Wang Tian. "Father, let me talk to my brother. I think he will understand us." Wang Fan cupped his fist and said with a solemn expression. Wang Tian was stunned when he heard this. He stared at Wang Fan seriously for a long time before nodding and saying, "Remember, you cannot be disrespectful to your brother. Otherwise, I will not forgive you." "Yes, father." Wang Fan's eyes flickered slightly as he replied. He then stepped into the air and chased after Wang Kai. In the courtyard, Wang Tian looked up at the night sky. His expression was one of indescribable pain. He gently shook his head and sighed. "For the Wang family, for the humiliation of the past, I am sorry, child." Chapter 480. West City on the street. Wang Kai's face was as black as ink, and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. His breathing was heavy as he said in a low voice, "For the sake of the old man and this body, I will forgive your pretentious actions this time." Even though his soul did not belong to the Wang family, his body was genuine. The feeling of his blood and flesh boiling in his body could not be faked. As for Wang Kai's soul, it was a bystander as well as the person involved. The taste of anger he felt was undoubtedly twice as much. In Wang Kai's opinion, even if there were any reasons or difficulties, he could not neglect his family. Otherwise, even if he obtained everything, there would be no one to cheer for him or be proud of him. Furthermore, Wang Tian and Wang Fan's actions could not be considered as difficulties or reasons. The family should have been able to reunite, but they had fallen apart for the *T glory of the Wang family. More importantly, they did not have the ability to do so. Wang Kai looked down on such people. "Old man, when I left Fan Province, you gave me the scroll and told me everything about the Wang clan's expulsion. However, I can't let the Wang clan regain its former glory. I want to crush Wang Tian's foolish dream and let him know that what he did was wrong. I also want to let him know that he made a grave mistake by pretending to be pretentious in front of me." Wang Kai snorted with a sinister expression. "You are Wang Kai, right? Stand down, I have something to say to you." Suddenly, a commanding voice sounded, causing Wang Kai's pupils to shrink abruptly, and his face twisted abruptly. "You call yourself I and call me by my name. You are even using a commanding tone. Are you sure this is good?" Wang Kai turned around with a dark and terrifying expression. He stared at the figure descending from the sky with an unfriendly gaze. Black clothes and a long sword. His face was handsome and he looked a little young. It was Wang Fan. "Heh, then according to what you said, should I call you elder brother? You are just an abandoned child from a barren land. You want to compete with me for the inheritance of the Wang family? Are you worthy?" Wang Fan sneered disdainfully. "Inheritance rights?" Hearing this, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes. He was so angry that his chest heaved up and down. He took a deep breath, gritted his teeth, and said with a fierce expression, "The inheritance of the Wang family? May I ask which Wang clan you are talking about? One of the 3 great clans?" Or Fan Province's Wang clan? Or is it your Wang clan that only has 3 people? Whoosh! Wang Fan waved his sleeve and said proudly, all of them. As long as you hand over the painting, I can merge the 3 Wang families into one. I can even surpass the current 3 great families and become a peak force in the 8 Desolaces. It was comparable to the heavenly courts. The leader of such a force is none other than me. Although you are the eldest son, you do not have the qualifications to compete with me. Hand over the scroll and get out of the central wasteland. Return to Fan Province and wait for me to bring my parents back to pick you up. Ha 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 ha. As soon as Wang Fan finished speaking, Wang Kai laughed out of anger. His laughter and ferocious face looked even more sinister and terrifying under the moonlight. Comparable to the heavenly courts and becoming a peak force. Are you afraid that I, the eldest son, will compete with you for the position of the family leader? Young man, wake up from your dreams. At the end of his words, Wang Kai released his aura, and the 10,000 formation seal map appeared in his hand. Wang Fan's expression turned cold when he saw this. He raised his hand and placed it on the hilt of the sword at his waist. He sneered in disdain, so it's just a mere heavenly venerate ant. Fine, since you want to fight, I will fulfill your wish. Attack as you please. I only need 1 sword strike. 1 sword strike will make you surrender and hand over the painting. 1 sword strike? When Wang Kai heard this, he could not help but laugh. He flipped his hand and spread out the 10,000 formation seal map. He gritted his teeth and said with a sinister smile, bragging to me, ha ha, seal, all life is equal. Buzz. In an instant, under Wang Fan's horrified gaze, Wang Kai took out pieces of black supreme stones and threw them into the seal formation seal map as though they were rubbish. Then, streams of terrifying black air flowed out from the seal formation seal map and surrounded the 2 of them. You have supreme stones. This is formation seal? You are my realm. Wang Fan was stunned when he finished speaking. He was originally a peak ultimate god, but at that moment, he had fallen to an 8th grade holy venerate. It was the same as Wang Kai's. Didn't you think that the peak divine body is very powerful? Come, this patriarch will let you know that there is a supreme physique above the god physique. F***ck your future wife, let me punch you first. Wang Kai sneered with a sinister expression. He immediately took a step forward and appeared in front of Wang Fan. He waved his fist and smashed it down on Wang Fan's head. Buzz. Wang Fan's eyes narrowed when he saw that. However, he did not panic. He flipped his hand and took out his longsword. Then, he pointed it at Wang Kai. So what if we are at the same realm? You still have a sovereign body. Bang. Crack. Suddenly, Wang Fan had just drawn his longsword to block. However, before he could finish his words, his long sword was smashed into the sky by a punch. His face was ruthlessly smashed until it caved in. Wang Fan's body flew up into the sky like a meteor. He spat out a mouthful of blood and spun down from the sky. His mouth was filled with broken teeth. Plop! Bang! Bang bang! As Wang Fan's body fell from the sky, he smashed into the ground, causing it to crack. The pain on his body, as well as his disfigured face, stimulated him to roar crazily as he leaped up. Do you know now? This sect master has a supreme body. It is above your **T divine body. Also, didn't you think that your Tao skills are awesome after you swallowed the fruit of Tao? Come. This sect master will let you know what a Tao art is. Wang Kai spat out a mouthful of saliva and sneered with disdain. Swoosh! As soon as Wang Kai finished speaking, his body flashed. He flipped his palm and pressed it down. He shouted, Tao skill, Tao of providence. Super power, providence deprivation technique. Tao technique, Tao of frost. divine ability, heaven sealing technique. Dao skill, Dao of wild sand. Superpower, underworld sand sea technique. Dao skill, Dao of summoning. Superpower, grand summoning technique. Dao skill, Dao of killing metal. Dao skill, Dao of heavenly mystery. In an instant, under Wang Fan's dumbfounded gaze, Wang Kai waved his hands and performed a series of Dao arts and divine abilities. The tornado of yellow sand, the bone-chilling frost, the murderous aura, and the heavenly mystery divination stage that appeared under his feet. What Wang Fan found most unbelievable was the five-colored light that appeared above his head. Under the influence of Wang Kai's providence superpower, his own providence turned into a five-colored light. No. This is impossible. Wang Fan stared in horror at the huge silver arm above Wang Kai's head. It was formed by the Tao of Providence. As long as he grabbed it, his own providence would definitely be taken away. If his providence was taken away, he would be useless for the rest of his life. He might even die instantly. Father, Mother, save me. Suddenly, Wang Fan looked at Wang Kai, who was walking over step by step. He was so frightened that his face immediately turned deathly pale. His entire body trembled, and the long sword in his hand fell to the ground unsteadily. His body also fell to the ground uncontrollably. Now, do you know that my physique, Dao skill, and superpower are thousands of times stronger than yours? Don't you feel embarrassed after being so pretentious just now? You useless piece of trash. Wang Kai sneered with a disdainful expression. He rolled up his sleeves and walked in front of Wang Fan. Then, he grabbed Wang Fan's neck and hung him up in the air. Chapter 481. Cough cough. Let go of me. If my father and mother arrive, you will be punished. Bang. Crack. Suddenly, before Wang Fan could finish speaking, his head was smashed by a fist until it tilted to the side. Half of his face instantly caved in while his flesh and blood began to curl up. His face, which had just recovered with the help of his divine body, was now half gone. He looked rather unsightly. You are still acting tough. Can't you use your stupid brain and think about it? Do you have the right to act tough in front of me? Wang Kai snorted disdainfully. He raised his hand and slapped Wang Fan. Crack, crack, woo woo woo. When the slap landed, the flesh on the other side of Wang Fan's face had also burst apart. His mouth was twisted in all directions as he continuously cried out miserably. At this moment, Wang Fan finally understood the meaning of remorse. He was also filled with disbelief. He had thought that Wang Kai was from a barren land. Even if he could transform into the Way and come to the 8 wastelands, his cultivation realm would not be high. After all, there were many geniuses in the 8 wastelands. The ones with the worst talents were those who came from barren lands outside the 8 wastelands. However, not only had Wang Kai reached the holy honorable realm, but he had also cultivated the formation restriction. He could even surpass the celestial honorable realm and control his body, which was at the ultimate god realm. This had exceeded his knowledge of the formation restriction. There were many formation cultivators in the 8 wastelands. Those who were good at it were as numerous as carps in the river. However, there was no one who could surpass one's cultivation realm to control the enemy. Wang Fan's previous pride had been destroyed by Wang Kai in less than a night. What was left was inferiority and self-mockery. He was so ashamed that he could not show his face. As expected of a peak divine body. Such recovery speed. Tsk. Wang Kai pretended to praise Wang Fan and smacked his lips. His eyes were filled with mockery. Wang Fan was so ashamed that he could not show his face. The peak divine body that he was so proud of was definitely one of the best among the geniuses in the 8 wasteland. However, compared to the sovereign physique, it was still inferior. Wang Kai. "Oh no, big brother, it's my fault. I treated you like that because I was afraid that you wouldn't have the ability to support the entire Wang family. It would inevitably cause my and father's efforts to be wasted." Bang! However, Wang Fan was still unable to finish his words. He was directly slapped by Wang Kai, causing his head to tilt violently to the left. His recovered face once again exploded. The intense pain and the deep humiliation caused the prideful Wang Fan to feel extremely furious and humiliated. "Now you know how to call me big brother? What the hell were you thinking about? What's the use of recovering so quickly? It was just a few more beatings. Look, it's like this." Wang Kai shrugged and smiled playfully. He flipped his palm and slapped down again. "Pa." In an instant, after 2 slaps, Wang Fan's face was completely unrecognizable. His eyeballs were even squeezed out of their sockets. He looked even more terrifying than a ghost. "Mother, I've already consumed the 2 fruits of Tao. I can't even see them in the barren lands outside the 8 wastelands. TSK, you're quite good at being arrogant with me. Do you think I care about those T fruits of Tao?" Bang! Bang! Crack! Crack! All of a sudden, Wang Kai changed the direction of his attack. He lifted his leg and smashed Wang Fan's legs into pieces. No. Big brother, you! Bang! Now you know how to call me big brother. What the F***ck were you thinking about earlier? You have a peak divine body and will soon reach the earthly venerable realm. The heavenly venerable realm is just around the corner. TSK, what's the use of that? If you continue to act tough with me, you'll lose your life. Do you know that? Crack! 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 As soon as Wang Kai finished speaking, he lifted his hand and grabbed Wang Fan's left arm. With a forceful grip, Wang Fan's arm was crushed. The piercing pain caused Wang Fan to throw his head back and scream. He was so angry that he spat out blood. His face was ghastly pale, and his body trembled non-stop. Big brother, you can't treat me like this. I'm your brother. Bro. Kiss my ass. Crack, crack, crack. Wang Kai was not moved at all. He grabbed Wang Fan's other arm again and crushed it into pieces with his strength. Wang Kai's eyes narrowed as he listened to his miserable screams and his crazed expression. His expression was rather indifferent as he said, "This time, this sect master has chosen to let you go for the 2nd time out of consideration for my mother. As the saying goes, you shouldn't do things more than 3 times. Even if it is brotherly affection, there is a bottom line that cannot be crossed. I hope you won't provoke this sect master in the future. Otherwise, even death, for you, will be your salvation. Get lost." Bang! Plop! As soon as Wang Kai finished speaking, Wang Fan was thrown out by Wang Kai. He fell to the ground like a piece of trash. His broken limbs and disfigured face were gradually recovering. However, even if his physical body could recover, the fear and frustration in his heart, as well as the deep humiliation, made it difficult for Wang Fan to get over it. "Wang Kai, I'll kill you! I'll kill you! I'll kill you! I'll torture you to death!" Wang Fan lay on the ground like a pile of dead meat, but his heart was screaming crazily. However, Wang Kai did not know about this at all. At this moment, he had already left the West City and arrived at the Central City. The Heavenly Emperor's Supreme City was divided into 5 districts. The North, South, East, West, and the Central City was also called the Supreme City. Compared to the West City and the border district where the Azure Moon Tower was located, the Central City was extremely quiet. It was so quiet that not a single sound could be heard. When he took a step, he could hear his footsteps and breathing clearly. Almost the entire street was filled with lanterns in front of the mansion. Moreover, the word "show" was carved on the lanterns. As far as the eye could see, there was no end to it. Every house was brightly lit. However, it was strangely quiet. There was not even a single passerby walking. What's going on? Could it be that this cult master has come to Ghost Street? Wang Kai touched his chin and muttered with a speechless expression. On such a brightly lit street, there was not a single sound or pedestrian. Because of the lanterns, the ground that was illuminated was red. The Heavenly Emperor's supreme city has always had a rule that no one is allowed to make a sound at night, and no one is allowed to walk outside. If you want to have fun at night, you have to leave the area of the supreme city during the day, and you are not allowed to step back for the entire night. Inside the Tong Tian Tower, Cat Lord was stroking his long beard and laughing disdainfully. Why is that? Isn't this rule too pretentious? Wang Kai shrugged and said with a speechless expression. In order to let the ghost soldiers and ghost generals be able to parade at night, and in order to let the ghost soldiers and ghost generals better understand the heavenly Tao, if a living person appears, they will be swallowed by the ghost soldiers and ghost generals, and there is no place to complain, because this is an absolute order that the heavenly emperors of the past would issue. Cat Lord stroked his long beard and laughed. Ghost soldiers, ghost generals. If a living person did not follow the rules and went out at night, they would be swallowed? Such words immediately made Wang Kai raise his eyebrows. With a strange expression, he said, "Could it be that all the heavenly emperors of the past had a bump in their heads? They actually placed ghost soldiers and ghost generals in the core area of the central wasteland? Can the people who live here still sleep well at night? With such a rule, no one will resist?" You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.